Not every geek with a Commodore 64 can hack into NASA.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo. Even out, settle scores quick. Our disaster recovery requires even more discs. Put your bytes up, prove it or you forfeit. Got my C64 and we blew it into orbit. M. Bison with 8 straight perfects. Overbold emotions make hate break circuits. In case you heard, it's a name fake service. Optimize our runtime to escape verdicts. Got an integer scope flow that they can't sign. Passing code, didn't sanitize command lines, landmine. So before they'll see me after, I'm advice star, courage, woke plus velociraptor. Don't prove we're human unless we really have to. My team built schemes that destroy, recapture. Hate what they see, finish this chapter. By the way, we're not any geeks, we hack into NASA. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. I'm just waiting till my BlackBerry dies, cause I'll replace it with the Raspberry Pi. Don't compare to this track, it makes everything they said dull. Neutralize any threat, turn Red Skull to Dev Null. They killed virus writers that we mentioned, but instead they ascended to the VX heavens and reincarnate as live wires. Still inside we hide ciphers and signed device drivers. Which school will we hit next? They didn't learn the format, so we've got a print F. Next step is a chin check. Freestyles that I spit best, they didn't decrypt yet. I crush internet MCs and rhyme battles. Get your Wi-Fi tackled, hacked by pineapple. I don't think you'll like my Snapple, cause I popped it with vodka in a cyanide capsule. We drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things.
You know there's gonna be security, right?
First we drink all the booze, then hack all the things. Then backdoor the firmware on anything you bring, regardless of the hardware, service or encoding. Connected to the internet and someone's gonna own it. This is for the pirates that clap and love the sound. Attacking from the cloud, then we're back in underground. There's no masking from us now. We pop tornadoes around the globe, track and hunt you down. Hacked on schedule, added to your calendar. Devices online, here comes another challenger. State infiltrated, so undercover. This is for my comrades who stare at the debuggers and trace every buffer. Examining the code flow, haven't been to sleep, better pop another no-dose. I think I'll need a planet-sized urn, cause some men just wanna watch the world burn. Your turn.
Stay out of jail.
Technologically possible, yeah.
Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring.
I mean, these servers have more firewalls than the devil's bedroom.
Hack all the things. Drink all the booze. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. Hack all the things.
Yeah, well, good luck, man.
They still give me wings. Drink all the things. Drink all the vodka and pack all the booze. Drink all the booze. Hack all the hackers. Hack all the
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone around, welcome to UHC.
Yes,
Welcome to UHC, everyone. Another week of Ultimate Hacking Championship for everyone there. Welcome. I see everyone's getting comfortable here in the chat with us. That's pretty nice. Well, I'm your host tonight here at UHC. For those who don't know me, I'm Marina Chavada. I'm from Brazil, but I'm staying in Texas right now. Just as UHC is also from Brazil and Hacking Esports also from Brazil. You're going to see me struggle with English a little bit throughout the night, but please bear with me. I'm a social engineer back from Brazil, and UHC CTF is run by Hacking Esports, Brazilian company. The UHC creator, Igor Rincon, founded Hacking Esports company and turned UHC into its first hacking championship. So the idea is to turn CTF into an official esports on the long run, using CTF as a learning platform and engaging as many people as possible during the live streams. All right, so we do have a bunch of like social media profiles around, such as Instagram for news and LinkedIn for partnerships, YouTube for past editions. So if you want to watch the past editions with past guests as Ipsec and John Hammond and so forth, you can go for YouTube, the Hacking Esports channel there on YouTube. Twitter for chatting, so we're always letting you know whenever we're on and whenever we have new guests there on Twitter. That was hard. And we also have the Discord server. Now, the Discord server is important. If you want to be a part of our public community Discord, you just have to type there on the comment section, !Discord, and the bot will give you the link for it. And the Discord server is where all our fans are gathered. All the CTF players are there as well. UHC players are there as well. And it's on the Discord server that happens the qualifying round for being part of tonight's match. So the qualifying round happens every week. It starts on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, and it goes 24 hours till early Monday. I already forgot. But the qualifying rounds always happen there on the Discord. So if you want to be a part of it, or if you want to just play around and, you know, have fun with all the other players, go to the Discord server. It's the public server. You're gonna watch tonight we're all here gonna watch the CTF going on Discord with all the players sharing their screens. And with us commentating on what they're doing. That Discord server that you're going to see here on our screen tonight, that's a private one. Only us, the hosts and the guests, have access to it. So it's not the public community one where the qualifying rounds happen. So very different things. There on the Discord is where you're going to meet new people, is where you're going to play Hack the Box or try Hack Me with everyone as well, not only UHC. So please be sure to be a part of that. So I want to thank all of our sponsors and partners tonight. We have all of them here. Tonight is all Brazilian companies. We have X Labs, which is a company that's been here with us for a while. So thank you so much, X Labs, for believing in us. Thanks to all of our partners and sponsors, we can actually give money to the winners. So tonight's winner is going to take home a cash prize of 500 reais, which is around $100, give it or take. And we have players from all around. Most of the players are from Brazil because it's a Brazilian CTF, but we do have a few players from outside Brazil as well. So we have Superhero, one of the players. It's from Germany, and that's Rio Bert. It's from USA. It's funny because it sounds like they're inverted, but yeah, we have an American and a German playing here with us, which is really nice. Welcome, everyone. The CTF is run in English, if I'm not mistaken. All the challenges are built for everyone to be able to understand because we know Brazilian Portuguese is pretty complicated. Therefore, we also have this English live going on. We have our, sister channel going on in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese. So we have 2 lives happening at the same time in 2 different languages. And at the end, we're gonna raid into the Brazilians channel to interview tonight's winner and to go through the walkthrough of the challenges as well with the CTF creator and the CTF builder, as I could say, architect, technical dude. I don't know, computer guy, whatever the fuck you want. So yeah, stay with us to the end so you can get to know how to actually solve the flags. We're gonna comment on the CTF, just us, without any knowledge of how to actually solve the CTF. And that's the fun part of it. We may give hints, we may not. The players are not prohibited to watch one or the other streams or both of them. That's part of the mind games. And we're going to have a lot more surprises throughout the night. So I've talked too much. I don't want to give any more spoilers. I'm going to bring on my beautiful co-host here of UHC, which all of y'all know already. Here's Ntady, my husband. Hi, husband.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. How about you?
I am warmer now. After a week plus of freezing temperatures and power outages, we have, all of the utilities now. No clean water yet, but we're way better off than a week ago.
Boy, oh boy! If y'all don't know, we're here on Texas. In Texas, I don't know how to say this, but we've been here in Texas, and we've been through hell, frozen hell. A very shitty snowstorm froze everything around us, and it's freaking Texas. People told me this place was a desert. As a Brazilian, I feel bamboozled by this weather. Feel very, very unhappy. We've been locked up in our houses. A lot of people, had really bad struggles because people were without electricity and without water into this awful cold. A lot of people died of cold. So it was not a fun thing. But today the sun is out and I'm so glad. So yes, we're safe, y'all. We're now celebrating the sun.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether we were going to have internet and be able to do UHC, so I'm glad to be here with everyone.
Yep, I am also very glad. All right, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, on much lighter notes, my name is Nt80. I am the rapper in dual core. I hack computers and make rap music about it. I love playing CTFs and seeing the challenges and environments here on UHC every single week is always fascinating. Yesterday, I played Try Hack Me for the Hacker of the Hill event with HackerOne. I was on the struggle bus the entire time, but it was super fun. I learned some things. I went back into the Try Hack Me room today and got some shells, so it's been a blast, and always been a fan of CTFs. There's always something new for me to learn, some new tool that I want to try out or some new technique that I want to experiment with, and CTFs are this great way that an environment gets set up for me. I don't have to do the build out, and I can just go in as an attacker and try things pretty much consequence free. So I'm a big fan of CTF, and then just seeing the players here week after week, always impressive, always inspiring. These kids come in and they're just super fast, quick on the draw, and ridiculously perceptive is how they figure things out, chain the bugs together, and work their way through the environment. So we're excited to share that here with you tonight. And we've got an amazing guest host joining us as well, an old friend of mine.
Yes,
I should say
a
long-time friend of mine. I don't mean to imply that anyone here is old.
Well, welcome, LZ.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
What up?
Coming to you from cold Buffalo, New York, where we always have snow.
Yes. Where you're actually equipped to deal with winter.
Correct. Yeah, Texas will be my home next year, though. So hopefully you guys are done with the inclement weather.
Yes, this was allegedly a once-in-a-generation storm. So as long as you don't live here for another generation, you just have to move before that generation ends, and you'll be able to avoid the next once-in-a-generation storm.
Perfect.
Do you,
So,
do you wanna,
LZ, tell us about yourself.
So I am a director at a infosec consulting firm. I'm over the red team and the research team. So basically, break things all day. On the CTF side, pretty long history doing various CTFs across a couple companies I used to work at. We used to have some company-wide teams. We used to work with a bunch of very talented people, but it's always interesting, watching people do CTF to see how they troubleshoot and how they work through a problem. I was always amazed to work with like much smarter people. Watching them struggle, learning how they work through a problem would always make me better. And that was like the biggest thing for me was, wow, this guy writes exploits all day. They struggled on this issue. They worked through it, and I feel better, and then could see how their approach worked, and that made the whole game different for me.
Yeah, I love the opportunity that we have here to showcase the mentality and the methodology of working through hacking, right? There's a lot of it that gets glamorized, and when you watch, Mr. Robot or whatever, it looks super cool, and it's just like, oh yeah, just go break into things all day, like it's nothing. But here on UHC, it's a much more realistic portrayal where, half of the time they're on Google looking things up, and then, they're struggling to land an exploit or figure out what the actual bug path is. And like having played in competitions like this, I've got a ton of respect for the fact that these folks can get in here and actually make progress through this. So to your point, it's always nice to see people that are really skilled at something also have challenges. It's good to know that you don't have to be flawless all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned Google, and like that's like the biggest skill in hacking is like being able to read, maybe the second page on Google and not the first, and then work through those, because like usually the first answer is somebody with the same problem, didn't quite work through it, and you might have to dig a little bit and then quickly make a decision about what route to go.
Absolutely, and I have like a file like for notes for UHC stuff, and every single week I've got new additions to that file. There's always some new tool or some new vulnerability that I wasn't aware of, or some technique that I see somebody do where I'm like, ooh, I need to go look at that. And so I love that about UHC too. Learning is always super fun, and so I'm just like, it's like, I don't know, like a curated learning session for me, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm always watching how the like the web hacking tools are getting faster. So everybody used to use like Dirbuster, and now everybody uses Fuff, and it's like multi-threaded and significantly faster, and people breeze through these things. So everybody's trying to shave seconds or minutes off their approach.
Yeah, and on that same note, actually, I picked up a new enumeration tool from our host last week, Ode, and he was saying that he really liked Ferox Buster, which is written in Rust. And so yesterday when I was playing the Try Hack Me Hacker of the Hill, I was the only one running Ferox Buster, and I felt like one of the cool kids because everyone else was. I was like, Puff, I know that. Go Buster, I know that. But like nobody else was running Ferox Buster. And to Ode's point, Ferox Buster is super fast. It's like it does recursion automatically. It's got like a lot of the flags that you might run in your traditional invocation of Fuff, but it's got that like baked in as defaults, and then just super fast in getting threads out and making tons of requests all in parallel and getting those results back really quickly.
Yeah, it's like a full-time job to keep track of like which new tool does what better than the other one. And
yeah, that, and there's this like, I feel like every day on Twitter, if you just look at like bug bounty tips or something, there's a dozen new platforms that somebody or frameworks that people have put together.
Sorry, everyone. My computer died real quick, and I'm just rebooting, and I'll be right back.
Man, you should have the meme all queued up for that one. You sent me that one earlier, expecting mine to.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we were joking. So LZ switched his setup over from a MacBook to a different system, and I was joking that like 5 minutes into the live stream, it was going to do an update and reboot on its own. And so I just had the wrong person. I should have sent that to Marina. And yesterday, actually, when we were getting started with the Try Hack Me event for Hacker of the Hill, Nahamsek's internet went out right at the start. And so they were trying to figure out like, okay, who's going to host? How can we do this? People were like, I could host on my Twitch, and we could just like, raid into it or whatever. And someone was like, I could do this for you. And so everyone was scrambling, but they were like calm under fire and got everything going. So like John Hammond started up a stream, and then the Hamsex internet came back, and they were able to like merge everybody and get everybody in the right place, and then watch us all flop around and fail at the hard room on the try hack me room, the hard level, where none of us. I take it back. I think Nadi got a shell pretty quickly, and Nadi was our winner last week here on UHC. But the rest of us were just flopping around, not making much progress. But yeah, so LZ, you've been doing red team stuff and research stuff. What are you like excited about right now as far as hacking?
Oh man, we were talking about this a little bit before. I think containers. I think anytime people roll new technology out into enterprises, there's always an opportunity for mistakes to be made. People forget lessons learned, so it's always new attack surface. I mean, I guess I'm excited from my side of things, not for people who have to fix this, but it's starting over. You always think people make look at all these exploit mitigation techniques that came out or new tools, and then you're like, oh, security's 90% there. Then somebody pushes out something completely new, and they start over from scratch.
Absolutely. And I'm with you on the container stuff. I started the year with not much knowledge about it. So to learn more about container attack surface and what that, what attacking containers or what attacking in a containerized environment looks like, I've been playing a bunch of systems on Hack the Box that have containers. And so working my way through those has been really informative. And I've just started to kind of dig into like the internals, like, what are Linux namespaces and what are capabilities and what are C groups and all that. So I actually, Friday night, I think, I wrote a loader that does user namespace remapping. And so you can like, you give it a binary to run, it'll spawn the process for you, but then it'll do the user namespace remapping. So it can be root, running as root, but then it can't like touch anything on the host, which I thought was really cool. So I learned quite a lot. So I think we're ready to get started on the player intros. We've got 10 players. These are the players playing tonight, played yesterday in the qualifying round, and these are the top 10 finishers from the qualifying round.
All right, let's meet our players of tonight's match. Let me just share here my presentation real quick.
Oh, sweet. Thanks to everybody who's just rated. We are a live hacking competition. We're just introducing the players that are going to be playing, and we'll be showing their screens and talking about what they're hacking and how they're hacking things and everything. So thanks for joining us with the raid.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to UHC. And now we're going to get to know a little bit about our top 10 players of the week they're going to compete tonight for the cash prize here on our CTF. This is our 30th edition. And we are a weekly CTF, so that means 30 weeks of UHC now, nonstop.
With 2 unique environments every week, so 60 unique environments thus far for hacking.
Yep, that is a lot. All right, so first we have Superhero, a newcomer, and also from Germany, which is pretty cool. Let us hear, y'all in the chat, let us know where you're from. We know that we have people from all over the world watching, not only playing as well. We got a bunch of people from all over the world also in the Discord server. So give a shout out, tell us where you're from. We know what we've seen here. People here from Africa and the UK and Russia and Pakistan and so many nice places, which is really cool. So give us a shout out. All right.
Post pictures of your houses.
And your credit cards. I just need to see something real quick. All right, Superhero, welcome to UHC. We hope you have a lot of fun tonight. We have Matheus Pimentel from Brazil. Matheus is a veteran player here on UHC. He has played a lot of rounds already of the UHC CTF. I don't think he's ever won though, right? But he's getting closer and closer every week.
Yeah, and he did amazing yesterday. Matheus came up with an excellent exploit against this like weird serialization bug that didn't have unserialized in the PHP code. It was a really fascinating exploit. So I'm excited to see what Matheus comes up with tonight.
All right. Let's see who else we got here. We have Akai16. I believe it's a newcomer. Never seen him or her or they around here on the CTF. So welcome, Akai. All right, next player we have James Rasnor, which is I guess an American name, but it's a Brazilian player. Another newcomer. So welcome to our CTF tonight. It's a newcomer, right? I don't believe I've ever seen them.
I feel like they might have been on once before, but I'm not 100% sure. So they might be new.
Yes, newcomer. The staff just gave me the word here. By the way, y'all don't see it, but we do have a staff here with us in the backstage. So give a big shout out to our staff, Isa from Brazil, that's been helping us deal with all the cameras and everything in the stream. So thank you so much, Isa.
Yeah.
All right. So we have João Ribeiro back again, or John the Ripper, or John the Winner, as Nahamsek gave him his new name. And John, or João, this kid has this name because João Ribeiro is a very Brazilian name, and the English translation kind of, it would translate to John Rivers, because Ribeiro is like from the river. So since Katie cannot say the Portuguese name of this kid, we just call him John. That's easier.
Much easier.
All right, so John is back, and he already won UHC.
Yep.
He is the winner of at least one of the past editions. Is that better? All right, we also have Big0us, another veteran here playing UHC tonight. No wins so far for Big0us, but he's been playing week after week, which is very impressive. You gotta qualify week after week, which is already quite difficult. So welcome again, Big0us. We're cheering for you tonight.
Yeah.
And next, we have Salesian tonight playing. Y'all know the drill. Salesian's gonna take this home in like 20 minutes. Sorry, LZ.
I know I'm not going to finish my snacks.
For those who don't know Salesian, he's a very bright kid from Brazil. He already won UHC 5 times. He holds one of the records. I think he holds the 40-minute record, right? He won all of the flags.
35, I think. And then when we did the championship at the end of last year, Salesian finished all the flags first. So, and I think Salesian is only 17.
Yes. And
has been only hacking for a year and a half or something like that. A couple weeks ago, I saw Salesian tweet like, "Oh, I finished all the boxes on Hack the Box," and had a screenshot, and like it was like all boxes were done.
Hashtag bored. This is such a bright. Salesian is such a bright kid, and he already landed such a nice job as well, because companies here watching UHC, they are all looking out for these kids, these very talented players, and a bunch of them got hired already. So that's pretty nice to see as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of the players have gotten their first InfoSec job from playing UHC.
It's super cool. Busy is another player of tonight's match. I don't think I've ever heard about them. So probably they're newcomers as well.
I think so. Yep.
All right. And we have our American player of tonight's match. That's Real Bert, which is very funny because the German player is called Superhero, but the American player is called Das Real Bert. It sounds very German, so I'm very confused here.
Maybe they've got fake IDs, and like Bert is actually from Germany, but he's like, "Oh, this is my American passport scan." Just kidding. We don't require passport scans.
So welcome, Das. I'm just gonna go for Das or Bert. Maybe Bert.
I'm gonna say Bert. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Bert. Welcome to UHC tonight. I hope you have a lot of fun. We have Eclipse here. We've seen Eclipse here around a few times, so it's not a newcomer anymore. It's almost a veteran at this point. So welcome again, Eclipse, for UHC. And all right, that's all of our players of tonight's match. Okay, so here is our top 10 players of the week. All of them got qualified yesterday, and now they're here to play. And I think the CTF is already running. Let me just double check here with the staff. Shout outs to our staff. Isa, let me know. Can we go?
And so just some details in the CTF here. It's an environment that has been set up specifically to be hacked for this event. So all of the systems here are, open for the players that are in the event, and everything is totally above board. The environment is configured a certain way. It's got specific bugs and vulnerabilities in it, and there's some path, maybe more, multiple paths, to work your way through the environment up to a root shell on some system. And so as you work your way through, you collect flags. That's the F in capture the flag, CTF. And so your flags are proof that you have reached a certain point or found a certain bug or exploited a certain bug in the environment. Or, maybe an individual text file. They could be an entry in like a database record, something like that.
I think your microphone changed. Did you fix it? No?
Nope, no audio.
Uh-oh. Well, while Intady comes back from his technical issue, I'm just going to tell y'all about our betting system and our store here on UHC tonight. So, for y'all watching us here on Twitch, just so y'all know, we have a Twitch store here in our channel. You can just scroll the page and you're going to see the store. And there in our store, you can buy lots of fun stuff. You can also donate to help us. You can buy tips. You can buy players. And this is the cool part. You can mess around with the CTF strategy. So you can buy player screen time. So if you want to watch one player screen for a while, you can buy their screen time. Because here we decide in among us here, whoever we're going to watch. And we usually watch more the ones that are winning. So if you want to see a specific player, you can buy screen time from them, and we have to show what they're doing. So people use that to maybe take the highlight off of some other players so they can submit flags, in secret, so we don't catch them submitting flags. You can also bring the scoreboard down. You can bring the scoreboard offline so other players can, submit points, or it can mess around with the other player's strategy as well. And you can buy hints as well. Yes, you can buy hints that the staff can give the players in strategic moments to help some of them. All of them are going to get the hints, but maybe one of them is already ahead. So you can play around with the hints as well. And we have a betting system also in place. So if you want to bet your Twitch points, that's pretty easy. We're just going to show here the Discord rooms here in where the players are located real quick here in the Discord in just 1 minute. And you can place your bet according to the Discord room number that the players are. So we are also going to let you know here in our chat exactly which player is in which room, and then you can bet your Twitch points on the Discord room according to the player that you think it's gonna win. Right there, thank you, Intady. And you can place your Twitch points up to, I think, 1 hour before the CTF ends. So in the last hour, the betting is gonna be closed. So please do place your bets as soon as you can, because at the end you will not be able to bet. All right, I got word here from the staff that the CTF is already on. So let's go. Let me find here my Discord screen to share. And here we go. All right. We're on. UHC is on, people. CTF started.
Yos. By the way, is my audio better now?
Yes.
You're back.
Cool.
You're
cool.
back.
What happened? Did just the mic drop out, or was there like a background noise, or what?
It sounded like your mic suddenly changed. I think from your AirPod to your computer audio,
Okay.
and then we started listening to like background noise and also us talking as well.
Hacks. All right. Well, glad we got it fixed.
All right.
Yeah. So we are watching Superhero joining us from Germany, and they are running FUF. And LZ and I, we were discussing earlier about FUF and web app enumeration. And so LZ, is FUF your go-to for web app enumeration?
It is now. Next week might be something else. It depends what happens on Git this week.
Right. Yeah. I'm strong recommendation for Ferox Buster. Ode told us about it last week, and I've been using it this week, and it's been pretty solid. So I would say give it a shot. Of course, if you're fine with making a ton of requests and making a bunch of noise that way. But yeah, so here we've got Burp up on the screen. It looks like they found a some kind of login page. So there's an admin.php and a login.php. And the login page looked pretty basic. So I think initially when they were on screen here, there was a, Superhero, you are amazing. Oh, look, and there's a flag right there, right off the start. Wow. Okay, Superhero, new favorite. They made their text bigger so that we can all see it easily.
First blood.
If you look at the scoreboard, Superhero is not in first place. The first blood is not from Superhero. It's from Big0us.
Yes.
In like 5 minutes.
Nice. I love it.
Ooh-wee. That was fast. Damn.
And so we saw there the flag was in the HTML that came back from the page, so that in the HTTP response. And LZ, have you ever encountered something like sensitive or a secret that's been commented out in HTML source or in the HTTP response in real life, like outside of a CTF?
So in real life, I've internal systems. I've seen people hide like legacy, commented out creds for a database server or something. I mean, it's not super common, but it definitely happens. I think people on an internal network take it less seriously and will leave things like that laying around. So that's definitely happened before.
It's understandable, I guess, because on the internal network, you've got, like some trust boundaries, at least one trust boundary between you and the rest of the world. So I could see that. I used to think this was just, some CTF thing that was very simple and unrealistic. And then I learned that last year in Brazil, the government website for tracking COVID patients had their admin credentials in the HTML source code. And so it was like literally you could log in from finding the creds in the HTTP response, comment it out in the HTML source, and see a bunch of COVID patient data.
That's rough.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, it does happen in real life, apparently.
Ooh, if you look at the scoreboard, people are already submitting the easy flag as fast as they can, because we have now this real Bert. So Bert is now on the scoreboard in third place, and in fourth place, Matheus Pimentel from Brazil. So now we have 4 players in the scoreboard, all of them with the easy flag submitted in less than 10 minutes of CTF going on.
Yeah, just in the first few minutes there.
This is gonna be a night, y'all. This is the night.
So we're still watching Superhero here, and they've got SQL admin or SQL map running. But one of the things that I liked that I just saw was they ran SQL map with the -r flag, and this is something that I learned about recently. Just in the past few months. What you can do is, instead of passing a URL and specifying parameters, you can take a request out of Burp and save it as a file. You can do this in the community edition of Burp. Save it as a file, and then pass that into SQL map with the -r flag. And -r will read that request from the file and then figure out what parameters to test for SQL injection. And so that was something that I didn't know, and I've been doing it, a much more manual way every time I'd use SQL Map for years. And learning this was amazingly convenient. LZ, do you have like a favorite SQL Map tip that's like your go-to?
I don't do a ton of web app these days, honestly. Mostly when I do things, it's checking the manual real quick in SQL Map and letting it fly. Usually it's for things like this.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times with SQL Map, I spend more time looking through the -HH output, right?
Yeah. The burp thing was nice because you don't have to do like a mile-long command line and then escape everything and fight that. So.
Yeah, that's huge, right? We've seen players struggle with that in the past here on UHC, where there's multiple layers of encoding, right? You've got to do escaping for the bash command line, but then you've also got to get like a URL encode or something like that. And so that adds layers of complexity, and anything you can do to minimize the complexity will let you test the specifics for your target. So I really like that aspect of SQL Map. It looks here that Superhero is going for a brute force against the admin page, and they are using Hydra with the fast track. Wow, fast track is a name I hadn't heard for a long time, but fast track word list. Do you remember fast track, LZ?
That's way back.
Written by a young Dave Kennedy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so the claim to fame there is I think that had a DB autopwn set up. So most people that used it to fire off DB autopwn and ignored the rest of the things it does. So from time to time, I like to give Dave a hard time about his tool for DB autopwn.
Oh man. And so using Hydra here for the brute forcing, something that I do in CTFs from time to time. But one thing I noticed in the page there on the login page, there's a redirect parameter. I don't know if you caught it, but once we see the browser again, there's like a redirect equals /admin.php, I think. And so to me, when I see a parameter like that in the query string, I start to think things like maybe arbitrary file read or local file inclusion or open redirect or SSRF, some kind of bug like that might get me a bit further into the app or maybe bypass the authentication.
Did you catch the code comment?
I did not.
Yeah, next time they flip back, there was a comment in the code about it being insecure. Or go back and check it. It was something like that. Nice.
Interesting.
Just so y'all know, the scoreboard is already down. And before it went down, the staff told me here that Silesian and John, the winner, were already in the scoreboard.
Excellent.
So we have a lot of the players in the scoreboard now with the easy flag. So let's see whoever gets the medium now.
Oh, nice.
Do you wanna take a stroll around the Discord?
Yeah, sure.
See right there.
Oh yeah. Security issue with redirect parameter and security issue inside container. Oh, those are some good hints. Nice. And yeah, I see Angel or Ang31D in the chat also mentioned the comment as well. So good observations there, y'all. All right. Let's see. Who are we watching currently, Marina?
We are still in our first player of tonight. Tonight's stream is Superhero.
Okie doke. Yeah. Let's see. I was gonna say let's see if anybody is moving up on the scoreboard, but the scoreboard's still down. So thank you to the audience for keeping it fresh for us and keeping it mysterious. We do see Superhero here setting up, maybe like a directory traversal with a file read, walking up that directory tree and then trying to read the Etsy password in that redirect parameter. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of peruse the other players here and see if anybody looks like they've got anything interesting going on. Why don't we pop down to Silesian? I think Silesian is also live on the Brazilian stream.
Yes, he is.
Nice. Okay, so Silesian has a request up in repeater for burp, and then it looks like they're doing some tampering with the session ID. I didn't catch exactly what was going on there. LZ, I'm kind of in the boat with you where I don't do, much web app anymore. And so, when I look at burp, it looks different from what I remember from burp. So I see like inspector and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. It looks like there's some transformations there that are like maybe programmatically being applied, but I have no idea like what they are.
Yeah, every time I go to load it up, it gets bigger and more confusing.
Yes. I saw somebody post when our ice storm started here, somebody that lives in Texas, they were like, oh, to keep my house warm, I'm just going to open up Chrome with 10 tabs. And I was like, yeah, you could also just open up burp, and load a couple of repeater tabs and you should be good as well.
Scoreboard is back. All right, let's see.
Ooh. So on the right side here of Salesian screen and inspector, I saw what looked like a PHP object or some kind of, I'm going to say PHP object because it's vendor or admin.php. When we see burp come back up on the right side there, decoded from base 64, where Salesian's got the highlight, that looks like a PHP object, which to me says maybe there's a serialization bug to be had. I see, there's a admin. It looked like maybe the object has a username or maybe a check for privileges. So that's always, when I see stuff like that, I think about, can I, do an authorization bypass? Can I convince the application that I'm somebody else, even though I'm only a particular account?
So now we have 8 players in our scoreboard. So Big0us is still first place with the easy flag, followed by Superhero, and then Bert, Mateus Pimentel, John the Winner, Salesian, and now the 2 new ones that we didn't see till now because the scoreboard is just now back, is Corrupted Bytes in 7th place and Akai 16 in 8th place. So we have now 8 players in our scoreboard.
Nice. All right. So it looks like Salesian is just kind of testing out these fields. So they're, they had admin, but then they were switching admin to some like known or probably bad value of A, B, C, D, E, which I really like to, to test hypotheses quickly and say like, what is the effect on the app if I change this field? And yeah, still seeing admin in the response there, despite changing one of the fields from guest to admin. So I'm curious. We saw a serialization bug last week that was chained to file inclusion. There was like a call to unserialize in the PHP app, and then inside of the object, when the destructor was called, it called a separate method that had I think a require once or include once method call. And so you could basically set up your payload in a way that you pass in this object and then get it to include a separate file, and you could get code execution that way. And Nadi was the only person to figure out that exploit and get that flag last week.
All the serialization attacks have really breathed new life into, web apps again. Like forever it was like PHP with, local file inclusion, remote file inclusion, but like now with WebLogic and a lot of software with serialization, it's like the Wild West of web exploits.
Yeah, and I really like the tooling that's been created around these attacks. So like, for Java stuff, there's WISO serial. There's a WISO serial implementation for .NET. And then there's PHP GGC, which we've seen folks use here. And that was one that I had never heard of PHP GGC before until I saw it on UHC. So that was one that added to my ever-growing list of new tools to play with. I think the challenge last week could not use a gadget from PHP GGC, though. I don't think there was any like third-party library. So it's kind of a cool reminder that tools can't always solve the challenges for you, right? Sometimes you just have to figure out exactly like what the challenge is doing or understand the problem space well enough to be able to code the exploit on your own. And LZ, like, do you find yourself relying on tools mostly in your work, doing like red team stuff, or do you are you mostly kind of just like working your way through manually without any specific attack tooling?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot's around like implant frameworks these days. After you get on a system, figuring out what people use for management, how people operate in an environment. So you're kind of like tool agnostic at that point. I think having a strong implants, a good starting point, but after that, it's really you're at the mercy of whatever environment you are and what they use.
Yep, I'm with you there, and I really like that the like living off the land stuff has become more and more popular. I was always kind of nervous about dropping new tools, especially if it's like some like statically linked netcat binary that I'm pulling down from GitHub. I'm like, no, I'm not going to drop that in a target environment for a professional engagement. So living off the land was definitely my MO, and you're right. Your implants can go a long ways. So I remember we invested a lot in my my last job on implant framework, and we had Meat Pistol, and it was written in Golang, so we could cut binaries for any particular architecture, and it was great. It was a really reliable way to maintain your presence in the environment, and then be able to just kind of work through the environment with everything else that was already there.
We spend a lot of time taking, public or known techniques that people think are burned and then reworking them with some other logic or evasion for, EDR products or defensive tooling, and then, breathing new life into it. So that's been a big area of research that we put time into. There was like a homepage attack in, Microsoft Outlook. So finding new ways to bring that back to life has worked really well for us.
Nice. So are you saying that you don't just run Cobalt Strike everywhere?
I mean, yeah, we try to do to meet whatever level that whoever we're working with is. So we might aim high and use our internal implant or internal tooling, then might switch to Cobalt Strike if we're not getting detected and they want some more noise. It's kind of ramp things up based on client expectations and then their posture.
Absolutely. Part of it is to gauge the security posture. Part of Red Team is to gauge the security posture of the environment, but then also to gauge the response capabilities. And so if you're just coming in at, Navy SEALs or Ninja level, and you're like, oh yeah, I hacked everything and stole everything and nobody caught me, it's kind of it's a disservice, I think, to the customer. Whereas, once you get in, if you complete your objectives, then you want to figure out where's the detection capabilities at first, I feel. So, how much noise does it take to get caught? And then how long does it take to get kicked out of the environment? How effective is the response? Like if you blow up alarms and the blue team is like, oh yeah, this is bad, we found them on one system and we kicked them out of one system, but you still got access to everything else through 10 other systems, that you can't just call the incident done and wrapped at that point. So testing that response is so valuable.
Yeah, a lot of blue teams want to prove that they can do a full eviction. So if you got into 5 or 6 systems and then got detected, if they only get you out of one and you're still in, like that's kind of a failure in an area for improvement. So we have a lot of places that'll want us to get caught at some point, but then they can go through their whole IR process and hopefully understand everything that was done and then get us off all the systems in one big sweep. Because obviously in the real world, incidents happen. It's not just keep people out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why that experience of running the incident is so valuable. I feel like blue teams should be doing at least tabletops. If they don't have a dedicated red team to engage with, they should be doing active incident responses through the year to sharpen their skills and refine that incident handling process. On screen, we are looking at Selesian coding a Python script, and it looks like they are trying to programmatically deliver this payload for the deserialization stuff. So this is pretty cool. I know we had John Hammond on here hosting, and John tends to go this route of just writing tooling on the fly as opposed to using more of the off-the-shelf stuff. So John, if you're watching, this one's for you, apparently.
Writing skeleton stuff like this works really well for like Jeopardy style CTFs where there's like a vulnerable service you might like netcat to, then working through it with a script.
Yeah, I have trouble sometimes of figuring out when to switch over, right? So I'll like poke at something with burp or like I'll write a wrapper around netcat or something. And then sometimes I go down that rabbit hole too far when I need to pull out and say, I should just, write this as a Python script and add flexibility and automation to this. So I don't know, do you ever, in playing CTFs, is there ever like some kind of trigger for you or something that your spidey sense gets set off and you're like, it's time to switch over from this manual approach to scripting?
Yeah, after I hit the up arrow about 30 times, I've decided that it's time to move on.
And so you're like, 28. Nope, not yet. All right, cool.
Almost.
Nice. All right. So it looks like Solution's got this like read loop here. And for the input, he's reading in a username and a role. And then that will package the object up for him and make the request. And it looks like the serialized object gets base 64 encoded and then set as the PHP sysID cookie. And so this is pretty straightforward Python script. I like it. Seems like a really good candidate to build out for automation here. And wow, I'm also impressed. I always have to look up whenever I work with any like URL or HTTP handling stuff in Python. I always have to look up what are the objects and what are the attributes and everything like that. I can never remember that it's like response.txt or anything. And Solution's just like, yep, I know this, no problem.
Yeah, Stack Overflow wasn't used yet.
Yeah, I know, right? So ladies and gentlemen and thems and theys, this is not realistic hacking. Realistic hacking is us looking it up on Stack Overflow and Google and GitHub.
Don't say that. Don't say that about a little boy Solution.
I kid. This is amazing. I'm super impressed that Solution is just knocking this out on the fly. Let's see if anybody else is taking a similar approach here. Why don't we bounce down to Eclipse and see what they're up to?
All right. Don't you want to go take a look at... Oh, Eclipse was just offline.
I think they're back.
Yes, they are.
Nice.
Let's just take a look on our American fellow here. What's up, Bert? Bert can't hear me.
Bert might have you up on the stream.
All right. Oh, that's true. What's up, Bert? Go,
right.
boy.
So Bert also poking at the login page. I think maybe they're trying, they're trying some default creds of admin, sending it to Repeater now, and then seeing what they get back. Oh, nice. I've never seen this layout up for Repeater where the request it's a horizontal split, I guess, or I don't know, depending on how you look at it, but horizontal and vertical, like top and bottom as opposed to left and right. I always see it left and right.
Jesus, but the font is so small. Come on, Bert. Come on. Talk about this, y'all. Bigger fonts. Bert, if you're listening to me, bigger fonts.
We're from Texas, where bigger is better.
The chat is also asking for dark theme.
That's how we know we got real hackers in here. Debo asking whether Solution also does competitive programming because definitely skilled. And Debo, if Solution does, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure that would be yet another thing that Solution wins at. Let's see. All right, so Bert still working. I'm just checking the scoreboard real quick. Bert is in third place. Okay, cool. So nice. Everybody that's on currently all has that first flag. I think only 2 people have not gotten that first flag yet. All right, let's see. Actually, I want to kind of go back to Superhero and see how they're doing.
All right.
Superhero
take a look.
Was one of the considerate players with the larger fonts for us.
There we go. Here's our hackers working, reading a bit of documentation.
Nice. And looking into redirect vulnerabilities. I love
OWASP.
these. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, from OWASP.
Yeah. I love these cheat sheets, right? Where it's like a compiled list of things to check out. OWASP cheat sheets are really good. My favorite is Hack Tricks. They've just got so much stuff that's compiled there. I see in the previous tab, Superhero's got payloads, all the things. Another favorite of mine. LZ, any go-tos or favorites of yours?
So there's an iRed Team site,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
got proof of concepts for just about everything out there.
Yeah, iRed Team, another really good one. Lots of good stuff there. I feel like I've started writing my Google searches more, or like my start page, but my searches more specifically now. So I'll put in like what I'm looking for, but then I'll start adding like iRed Team or Hack Things or whatever like after it, or like GitHub or whatever, and that kind of gets me like a better starting point than some of the initial search results.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more just jumping on Git, looking for proof of concepts for things like just like CVE numbers and stuff, just skipping the Google or whatever else altogether and just going straight to there. People will publish like half-finished exploits all the time, or like some random C# snippets for a code injection or something like that.
Yeah, I've used that sudo privesc a few times, and each time I just am like sudo CVE 2021, whatever the last four are, and then GitHub, and I find a proof of concept there.
Just got to make sure nobody's got like exec backdoor and then like lulls all over, and then you're good outside of that.
Right. Yeah. A friend of mine years ago learned that RM had added the no preserve root or whatever flag because they were on one of the mailing lists, and they were like, I have an exploit for this particular application. And someone was like, I'll buy it from you. I just need to test it first. And the shellcode that they were sent was like a rm-rf/. And the person just ran it straight. And they were like, oh, I got this message that says something about like no preserve root or like preserve root or something. And we were like, what is that? And we like went and looked at the man page for RM, and we're like, oh, apparently this flag is new and it prevents you from doing rm-rf/ now. So then we reworked the shellcode, and we're like, oh yeah, here it's updated, payload's updated.
That was when people used to try with that stuff. Nowadays, they just bury something a few lines down in Python, and somehow people still manage to execute that stuff.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I remember people like freaking out that there was a commit that almost got merged into the Linux kernel years ago that was like a single equal sign instead of a double equal sign. And I was like, yeah, but that's pretty tough and good catch. But it's like there's so much easier stuff you can get away with that just people won't notice. All right, so we're watching Superhero, and it looks like they are also looking at this serialization bug with that PHP sysID cookie, and nice. So here in the redirect approach, they are using PHP filters. PHP filter is something I forget about all the time, and then I get reminded once I start going down the rabbit hole. So you can pass these like PHP filters and get different effects to happen, but bypass particular checks. So, like one way I see is encoding something as like base 64 by using the PHP filter, and that will bypass a check for input and output. I don't like LZ, like any cool PHP filter stories that you've done with CTFs or anything?
It's been a while. A lot of where I was spending time would be like the crack me's and the compiled binaries, the solve me ones. Like I said, the web app isn't where I used to spend a lot of my time, but
yeah, same. I felt so bad being on the on the Hacker of the Hill yesterday because I'm pretty much at like dog science. I have no idea what I'm doing with web apps. I was able to dump some databases and stuff and look around, but I felt way out of my depth in comparison to other people that probably should have been on that stream.
It's a good thing though. I mean, web app security has got harder, so it's more specialized and it's hard to do, everything. At one point it was, hey, basic buffer overflows were easy, heap stuff, a little bit harder. But nowadays, fighting exploit protection and things like that, it's like a full-time gig.
Yeah, absolutely. Which to me always makes it that much more amusing when you find something where like you can bypass an EDR, by renaming Mimi Cats or something like that, right? Our friend Corey posted that she calls Mimi Cats Mimi Gatos, and so that's my new name for it now. Is I'll always rename my Mimi Cats binary as Mimi Gatos.
The ultimate signature bypass.
Yes.
Ooh. All right, so if y'all look at the scoreboard now, all of the players are now in the scoreboard. So Eclipse and James Rasner finally joined all the other 8 players that were already there. Also with the easy flex, so now we have all of them with 150 points. Just a nice reminder to everyone, having the same points doesn't mean they are tied up. Here on UHC, the advantage is to whomever. I don't fucking know.
I speak English and I don't know.
To whomever submitted the flag first. So if the player submitted first, he or her or they have the advantage in our scoreboard. So even at the end, if they don't have any more points and it finishes just like that, Big0us would still be the winner because he submitted first. Therefore, that's why he is in first in our scoreboard. So nice detail here for y'all.
Yeah, I think that's a implementation feature of CTFD. Basically, whoever gets to the point value first gets the higher ranking, which I like. I think that's good. I'm more of a fan of that approach as opposed to reducing the value of a challenge, for subsequent solves. LZ, do you have a preference there in terms of CTFs and maintaining, or how you like rank solving?
I think first is, that's you got to get extra points for that. I mean, getting to the conclusion quick. I don't know. I mean, if you get into some of the complex exploitation, sometimes there's how elegant of a solution. But hey, it's a race to get them all finished. So
yeah, I agree. I've played. For me, like I'm like always gaming the game too. So in playing CTF, I'm like, how can I figure out ways to get an edge? I've played CTFs where I will like sit near other players and I can hear what their team is talking about. I've played CTFs where they dock you points for taking a hint, or if you get a challenge wrong, if you submit a wrong answer, you lose the maximum number of points that you can get for that challenge. So the challenge might be worth 100. If you submit the wrong answer, the most points you can get for it now is 95, et cetera. And so in that situation, I register a second account, and then I test my challenge solutions with that second account. It's my canary account. And then once I've validated, I've got the right answer, then I'll submit it with my real account. And then I have the potential for a perfect score.
Yeah, I've definitely seen CTFs where they don't tell you the flag format and then dock you for the wrong flag, and that gets to be a painful experience.
Yeah. There was one that I played that was like a forensics CTF, and they were like, what was the timestamp of this artifact on the system? And I'm like, in what format? If I pull it from the event log, it's this way. If I pull it from the registry, it's this way. And so it's it was hard to know. So that one, they were docking points. So I've had the canary account. I think maybe one of the OSINT CTFs, they limited you on guesses as well. And so in that case, I would also make separate accounts, and then guess that way. And it was strange too, because sometimes you have to go ask, right? You're like, is it like a misspelling in the scoreboard? Because I've got the proof right here that says the person was born in Cincinnati, but Cincinnati is a tough city to spell. And so is it? Do you have it right, or did you want Cincinnati, Ohio? So. That's a really challenging aspect, in addition to playing CTF competitively, when you've got to figure out what the challenge author also intended.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before we got on here, but it's those CTFs where you're used to doing thinking about things in a real world, and the path they might put you down is there's some weird vulnerability that wouldn't ever exist with the other conditions is an interesting thing to work through.
Yeah, I've always wondered. I feel like there's not a huge intersection between CTF players and bug bounty players, and so I always wondered if you took folks that have only played one and you put them in the environment of the other, how would they fare? And then like, would one set of players fare better than the other, right? You know, like would the bug bounty hunters like come out way better off in the CTFs because they would be like, oh, this, like I've seen this weird edge case once in, you know, this particular platform or this target. And then they would get to that conclusion more quickly? Or would the CTF players be like, I've seen so much random stuff, I'm just going to try like all these 20 things I know in this scenario, and like one of them works out in the bug bounty setup?
Where the trick is just tie each flag to a dollar amount and see how those things work.
Yeah. Or do like teams, right? You have like a team of like, you know, one or more people from each of those non-intersecting subsets, and then pair them up and have them go at a particular domain. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I really like the team aspect of doing things like this because, you know, obviously nobody's an expert on everything, and even like a single comment from somebody about checking, you know, some path might be the winning move.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think teamwork is one aspect of both CTF and bug bounty that kind of gets underscored or maybe undervalued. But I feel like there's, you know, so much value in having folks to bounce ideas off of and you know, check in with things. I can't tell you how many times where I've hit a wall and I'll just like write out like a post, you know, like if I was going to ask somebody a question, I'll like write out like, here's all the things I've tried, here are the thoughts that I had, et cetera. And in doing that, it'll be like, oh, I should try this other thing. But I'm playing a CTF, you know, by myself, so I can't go ask other people for help. And so in playing with teammates, you get various perspectives and, you know, different thoughts that, you know, you might not have come to on your own. And I think that's a huge win. And I strongly encourage people to work together in both CTF and bug bounty and just hacking in general. And I guess kind of touching on that, you know, subject of what it's like in the real world, at companies, we all work in teams. None of us are just like the only like hacking person. Oh, check it out. Toasty Pun subscribe to us with Prime. Big0us. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate you. Join us week after week. Spend those Twitch points. Bet on players. Speaking of, I think betting might be closing soon. I think it only runs for like an hour or something.
Yeah, I think it's already closed. So if you haven't bet yet, well, tough luck, because I think if I'm not mistaken, it's already closed. And we are now officially in our mid game. We are 7 minutes in our mid game. So the players have now just 2 more hours to go for the medium flag and the hard flag. Just let me take a quick look on how many flags we have tonight.
You might want to take a look at Solution too.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Let's
nice to know. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, everyone is here watching Solution. Look at that.
Solution on one of my favorite sites, Hack Tricks. What up?
Hey, 80, have you ever tried the micro corruption CTF?
Oh man, a long time ago. That's the one that is all in the browser, right?
Yeah.
But it's like its own architecture for like a lot of common like system vulns, right? There's like format strings and buffer overflows and everything.
Yeah, it's like an embedded device CTF. I always put people down that path because everything is self-contained. You can't screw up a debugger, or you're not trying to fight with IDA or something that you can like have a config mistake with. So if you're just trying to get started, it was always a good, you know, stepping stone. Yeah,
I do really like micro corruption for folks that wanted to get started in like binary exploitation and like you know, reverse engineering, because you're right, it's its own environment, so you don't have to do anything. You don't need a VM, you don't need Docker. All you need is your web browser. You could literally do it like in a Chromebook and be off and running.
Yeah, the worst feeling is a self-inflicted issue where you would have solved the problem, but some setup issue was the thing that stopped you.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I've had times where scans will return like incomplete results, and I'll miss something because there was like a VPN issue. Like the VPN dropped during the scan run, and then like it came back up, and I didn't notice it at all. And so it was like, oh yeah, these 2 ports are open, but really there was like a third one that would have been an amazing path in if I had, you know, seen it, and I totally missed it. Yeah, micro corruption is a great recommendation. I feel like when people ask me about getting started, they're generally thinking about like web app CTFs. And so I always, you know, think of things like like try hack me and like hack the box and even UHC, they usually for the qualifying rounds they usually have a web app to start with, and so those are like my first thoughts. But yeah, micro corruption is a great one. I did smash the stack as well. I really liked the some of those levels had like really good memory corruption vulnerabilities, and those are platforms that are or services that are hosted in other places. So all you need is a way to SSH into a different system. So your terminal or or Pouty. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think pointing out 3389 might be remote desktop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was in a let's see, that was in the redirect, right? So I think.
Two things.
Okay.
The scoreboard is down.
Yes.
And a viewer redeemed player screen from Superhero 1. So,
dope.
Yeah. Oh, look who's here watching. Look who we just caught here hanging around our Discord server.
What's up, Ode?
What up, Ode?
Ode using that commentator privilege to check in on the players and see how they're doing.
Oh, boy.
I think
All right, so now we're watching Superhero Screen for a few minutes. I think it's 3 to 5 minutes, so we're just going to hang around here a bit. And since the scoreboard's down, that's pretty much it.
Nice. So yeah, it looks like Superhero is using Burp Collaborator, which I love. I think it's like a really nice feature in Burp. I don't have a Burp Pro license, but I love that premise where you can have Collaborator out on the internet. You can work with other people. You can find when things hit it. And track like, oh, this is the request specifically. LZ, do you know like many folks on your side that are using Collaborator or something similar?
Yeah, we have a whole team of web app ninjas at work. So I know they're big into Collaborator and writing plugins and things like that for Burp. So I've definitely seen them go down that path.
Do you know, can you host your own Collaborator? Because that's like one thing I would be worried about is like privacy for clients.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I know like I've seen folks that in their work environments, they're like, okay, yeah, like we're down with having a feature rich chat application, but we don't want to do something that's hosted on another server. So like, we'll host our own like Mattermost server internally or something like that, which I guess I can understand that out of privacy concerns. Makes sense. Let's see. So we saw in the background there, there's a Python 3 HTTP server that Superhero spun up, and now Superhero is testing, can the redirect reach out and hit that? I think one thing it's listening on 80. Sorry. So I saw like the request in the browser was going to, just .12/test. And by default, that Python 3 HTTP server module, it'll listen on 8,000. And so for a moment, I was worried like the port was missing. But here we see that they did set it up with port 80. And oh, nice. It looks like they got the request to go. Nice. All right. So that looks good. So now knowing that redirect can make an HTTP request somewhere, I would start thinking of SSRF stuff and being like, can I get the metadata service? Like, is there a metadata service? Is there some other service I could map out internally that maybe is like only listening on localhost? I've seen that a number of times where, you get like some kind of data store and it's listening only on localhost 127.0.0.1. And so you can't hit it externally, but from the vantage point of an SSRF, you could cause the application to make the request on localhost and hit that service. Let's see. So LZ, what do you think? Like with an SSRF, what would your inclination be? Again, sorry, I know your web app's not really your thing, but if you got any top tips for SSRF, what's your go-to?
SSRF map.
Nice,
okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would be on Google in there. Those would be my first two pass.
Yeah. And I think SSRF map was another tool that I only learned about recently. I've always done SSRF by hand whenever I found it, and so that was another one that I didn't realize was actual tooling that somebody had made.
Here we go.
Yeah, excellent. Oh yeah, and it's by the person that does the payloads all the things.
I hope this isn't one of your situations where the tool doesn't work, but doing it manually does. But we'll
yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing, right? Is like being able, like, it's a separate skill to figure out like when you need to bail off of the tool and go to do it manually.
Just so y'all know, the scoreboard is now back.
Oh, nice. Are there any changes?
No, we're still in the same path. We're still with Big0us first, and everyone following him. Superhero, Bert, Mateos, John, Salesian, Corrupted Bytes, Akai 16, Eclipse, and James. Everyone still with the easy flag. And we're going up to the mid-game now. We're 15 minutes away from being actually in the middle of our game tonight.
Nice. Oh, nice. And it looks like SSRF map has that same feature as SQL map where you can pass it a request file. Nice. Now it looks like it's just pathing issues. So I think here, Superhero 1 probably needs to go, and back into that SSRF directory, and then either, copy the file or just give it the path on the for the -r. And I think here they're just missing the .txt extension. Yes, getting it. All right. Let's go.
That was suspiciously timed,
Hey, great minds think alike. What can I say? Yeah, so let's see. It didn't find an injection point on their own, even though they did specify, I think they specified the parameter of redirect. So interesting. And LZ, this might be just exactly what you were saying, one of those points where maybe the tool, isn't as well geared towards this particular situation, and doing it manually is the way to go.
Yeah, that always be my worry. You move on from this to something else and think, hey, I got coverage, but
yeah, doing it the way that I do it, reading the help first to see. Let's see. Yeah, and I've never used SSRF map. Like I mentioned, it was just something that I learned about. Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Nice. Okay, so there's got different modules. Got it in Redis or Redis. Do you know how that's pronounced? Is it Redis?
I wasn't going to take a stab at it. I was waiting for somebody else to go for that first.
We'll just say Redis, and then if anybody tells me I'm wrong, they're wrong. Nice. Wow, I've never seen this before. Okay, so it looks like they are. I don't know why it needs the server cron. Maybe it tries to set a cron job or query the cron tab.
Yeah, that's weird for remote.
But yeah, as we mentioned before, SSRF being used, to potentially find data stores that are listening locally. So Redis, a good opportunity there. Make a request against it, and I've definitely seen articles and posts about dumping out Redis data stores through SSRF. So there's plenty of material there for doing it if you have to do it manually. If in fact SSRF map does not work it out. But this is great. So it looks like they figured out how to get the SSRF, and I'm curious because last week we saw that there was the PHP object serialization bug. Here we see another PHP object, and the serialization bug was tied to another file inclusion bug last week. So I wonder if the SSRF and the object are tied together this week in some sort of similar fashion.
Yeah, now they're fighting Python 2 verse 3.
Yeah. Even so, I thought PyEnv was going to be like the way to like keep everything straight with my Python environments, and I still run into issues. Have you found a good solution for keeping your Python environment sane?
Not a chance. No, we do a lot of Dropboxes for like remote engagements, and we have to run both versions, and trying to keep track of like using pip for what version and all that is just no winning answer.
Yeah. Maybe the maybe one solution is just to not run Python on the host, and you just have Docker containers for whatever Python you need.
Yeah.
You could just do like from Python 3.7 and it'd be good to go.
I've definitely seen some people take that approach of everything they run is, Docker containers for every, pen testing offensive tool they have. It works great. It's just kind of like a mentality shift.
Yeah, I've got some things that I run containerized in that way, and then you can do aliases. So it's the same usage as you would normally do it, right? Like you can do like MSF Venom to generate payloads, and you can do that in a Docker container, and then you can set up your alias or set it as like a shell function so that your invocation is exactly the same. But what's happening is like a Docker container spinning up, and then it's running the MSF Venom, it's generating your payload, spitting out the payload for you, and then destroying the container. And so I've got that for some things. And I'm one of those people that I try to do as little as I can on the host. So for me, it's mostly VMs and containers. It is for me, it's just because I will go down rabbit holes of like, I need to get this tool to work to test a thing. And I'll just be like, install whatever it takes to get the tool to work. And then that will break like everything else. So at least with VMs or containers, I can be like, here's an ephemeral environment, or I can snapshot it and be like, okay, if everything broke, no problem, revert, I'm good to go. Everything's still sane.
There's always a downfall of like using Linux for a primary operating system. Like the one time you change a bunch of libraries to get something to compile and then think everything's great, 2 months later you come back and like broke something else completely because of that.
Yep. Yeah, and I love how I've got like a spidey sense over like if I do like an apt install and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do like this library, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna install these like 20 other things. I'm like, this is not happening on the host. I'm gonna do this somewhere else.
Yeah.
So Superhero looking up into some bypass stuff here, and when I think of bypasses with server-side request forgery, generally those are I see them around the IP address. So if you're trying to get to like the metadata service, and you're doing like a 169.254, I'll see people filter on that, and then you can bypass those filters by expressing the IP address in a different way, like as hexadecimal or as binary or whatever. So that's generally what I think of with the bypasses in server-side request forgery. I thought I saw maybe Redis in that list somewhere, but I guess maybe I'm also making an assumption about Redis based on just that one module in SRF map. There may be no Redis on this system. But yeah, do you ever find yourself doing like weird, expressions of IP addresses or anything like that to get around checks and filters?
Yeah, so there's actually a good one for like Windows. If you use, I think you convert it to all hex, or no, just decimal. You can use the Microsoft does zone filters, and you can treat it like an intranet site because there's no like IP address dots or other domains in it, so you can get away with treating like an external IP like an intranet site.
Oh, nice.
For like web dev.
And so then does that bypass some kind of like a firewall rule or something like that then or like an access control that will then let you get like internal access to like web dev resources?
Yeah, you could do something like leak NTLM hashes or something like that, because it won't do it out to the internet. But if you treat it like a trusted intranet zone host name, even though it's an IP, it bypasses that.
Oh, very cool. Nice. And then do you find often when you collect hashes in that way, are you able to pass them into other tooling directly to have further capabilities, or do you need to crack them in most cases?
Yeah, they're net NTLM, so you'd have to crack them offline. That's also hoping the stars align and you can get that out of a web proxy for a company. But things happen, so I've been trying to get off of making assumptions, because every now and then like an off-the-wall idea will work, and you will never expect it to work. We ran into this with having a client download a .reg file and run it. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. I was like, I know they have several EDR products. I know they have really great security. I'm like, this and it worked. And I was like, you know what? I was like, from now on, all bets are off. I was like, no assumptions, because every time you assume something, you think they might have skipped that idea internally as well. And we called somebody up, downloaded a reg file, changed some keys, had it run and load a backdoor, and got on their system, which flew by like a proxy, several defensive products. Yeah, so don't make assumptions.
Yeah. It's so funny. That catches me all the time, even in CTFs as well, where it's just like, there's no way they did this in the app, or like on the target. There's no way that this is the case, and it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's been like the biggest struggle for me. I'm like, oh, there's no way this idea is ever going to work. And I was like, you know what? Let's step back. I was like, anything's possible.
Yeah, and that still happens to me where I'll be like calling it a day, right? And I'll be like going to bed, and then I'll think like, I wonder if this like really random obscure thing might work. And then of course, like I'm so curious that I have to go try it. I can't just be like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm like, oh, let me go poke at it. And then, with Marina, I'm like, it'll be 10 minutes. And then she's like, that was 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, you see that happen with true. Like Microsoft and things like that. You're like, there's no way there's going to be another RDP vulnerability. Like that's been fuzzed. It's been, Microsoft has gone after them. One will pop up, and you're like, how is that possible? So, making those assumptions is a mistake in this field.
Yeah, same with like pretty much anything Unicode. I feel like you especially with Unicode, you can't have any assumptions that it's totally good. You see things where like, 2 Unicode emojis or whatever will like crash stuff or cause a denial of service. And it's like, how did you not get, it's like 4 bytes. How did you not find this already?
Yeah, that, and if anything just works, it's usually not secure. That's my my 2 like mantras I've figured out from doing this for a while. Like any IoT thing that just magically does something and you have no issue setting it up, like 99% of the time there's some glaring vulnerability.
Yep. Yeah, and admittedly, I am a bad InfoSec practitioner, and I do not have like a super amazing network at home. I've got, like a couple different network segments and everything, but ideally I would like to have, each IoT device on its own network segment and have like strict firewall rules. I did write tooling when I set up my network years ago that I built. I took a Raspberry Pi and I put a Wi-Fi adapter on it. And then I had it run into a Ethernet jack. And so it was like a transparent proxy. It put an access point up. Sorry, so it wasn't completely transparent. It put an access point up and served DHCP. And then I would put one IoT device at a time. Like I'd put the thermostat on the Pi access point, and it sniffed everything. And so it would just take this PCAP, and then I would like use the device like the thermostat. I'd use it like normally for a bit, and then just take all of that traffic from the PCAP. And then I wrote tooling that would generate IP tables rules. And so it would say, here's like everything that I saw it talk to, everything like these protocols, these IP addresses, et cetera. And all of that is like allowed. This is like normal behavior. And then everything else is like denied or like log it or something. And it worked like pretty well. I ran into some cases where, a device would pull something from like S3. And I'm like, well, that bucket name could change. So like the IP address could change for the bucket. So that one was like a kind of a tough use case. But yeah, like isolating all of those kinds of like simple, it just works devices is like high on the network hygiene priority list for me.
Yeah, my network's not super complicated. I just, my ISP gives me multiple public IPs. So I put all of my IoT stuff on there. But then everybody I work with is like, oh, I got all this crazy, all these VLANs and stuff. So now I ordered a new router and some other things. And I'm going to go down that whole path to over-engineer my home network so nothing works again. But
yeah,
fun project.
Nice. All right, we're going to check on Salesian and see what they are up to. And let's see. So Salesian's got his own VPS. I'm not sure if it's EC2 instance or what, but anyways, having your own VPS can be super helpful in CTF, especially when you need to catch shells. LZ, do you have a preferred hosting provider for CTF infrastructure as the player?
I'm a big fan of Linode. That or EC2. They're both easy, user friendly. Don't really make a big deal about you doing, weird testing, scanning, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like AWS had some kind of agreement earlier where you had to, like with pen test stuff, where you had to get like both parties to submit something to them. But I can't remember, and I feel like they've kind of eased off of that, or maybe just not been as strict on enforcing it. But my memory isn't the sharpest on that one. I've been a DigitalOcean user for CTF stuff for a while, and I've been pretty happy there as well.
Yeah, it was AWS had a thing where you had to pre-submit IPs. Azure had a thing like that, but all those companies seem to back away from that these days. DigitalOcean's a good one. I just have stayed away from it because I know a lot of clients and things like that that block it completely because of abuse.
Yeah, yeah. I have a VPN droplet there with a WireGuard VPN, and I was like, oh, let me just try like putting the WireGuard client on my edge router at home. And it's just, it's like an Intel NUC that runs a GRSec kernel. It's nothing special. And so I was like, it can do WireGuard. So I put the WireGuard on there, and a lot of things worked well, but a lot of stuff didn't work well because it's coming out of that DigitalOcean droplet. So it was too problematic. So I ended up having to take the VPN client off the edge router. Unfortunately, I was super excited because I use it for like my mobile devices, like my phone and my iPad. And so with those, it's great because the WireGuard droplet, it runs its own DNS server. It pulls down the list from like the Pi-hole DNS list for like malware and for advertising stuff and whatever. So a lot of that traffic gets dropped for ads and everything, gets dropped at the network layer through DNS, which is dope. And then you can do like an internal HTTP server and serve up like blank assets, so you don't get these like huge blocks on your phone that are like could not resolve adclicker.net, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's kind of a seamless browsing experience with like a bunch of privacy features built in. Super nice.
You've been around as long as me. I remember paying $5 a month for a shell with 2 background processes.
Yeah. Now it's $5 for a VPS with unlimited devices for your VPN.
Yeah, you can for $40 a month for a unmetered whole server.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because DigitalOcean's got the what is it, like a terabyte of limit for traffic or whatever until they start charging you extra rates or something.
I had to do that for a blog post before. I was doing a blog post on spoofing, and VPS providers won't let you spoof IP addresses, but buy a whole server place in Russia for like $100 a month. We'll give you a whole server that you can do whatever you want with.
Nice.
And it was just to write a blog post. I was just trying to show like DNS amplification or something along those lines there. And every VPS provider was dropping packets. So.
Yeah, in Russia, anything goes, I guess.
Basically.
Oh, yeah. So we see in the chat there, the players are starting to get a little frustrated, I guess. Like I saw look like Superhero was like, I must be missing something. And trust me, Superhero, we're with you. We know that feeling. And yeah, now I see Salesian looking at other fields in the request. And, this is I think LZ kind of coming back to what we were talking about, how, it's like you kind of got to go with like no assumptions, right? And you got to think like, what is some input that I control? And then, even though you rarely see it, is there like something I could do with, the user agent string or, with whatever and get around something or cause, some kind of exploit to hit. And so I think that's kind of, we, at least as hackers, I feel like we generally go for the low hanging fruit first. We do the easy stuff. We do the stuff we're most familiar with. But then after that, you kind of got to start just trying random things, I feel like, and working your way through one by one to isolate out test cases. What are like, I don't know, what do you kind of do in these cases where you've run through your normal playbook of things that you're familiar with?
So sometimes with these, I've started working backwards, like server status pages and things like that. Maybe I went down a whole wrong path. Then I kind of run back through all of my logic and whatever else I've identified to see if, maybe I got tripped up and went way down a rabbit hole. Like you said, it's easy to, think something's the path they want you to take, and it could be completely different. So sometimes I'll back up and spend 10, 15 minutes and walk back through, what got me there, and then all of the things I thought were trivial along the way.
Yeah, really good point. Okay, interesting. So that looks like Redis.
Yeah. was making some progress above, so I don't know.
Interesting. So I'm curious, is this Redis like the server Redis, or did Salesian just stand up his own Redis instance to, test out? Like, because I do that as well. I'll set up my own thing, my own local copy, and stage my payloads to see, like, does it actually work? How does this thing do what I need it to do? So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious if Salesian is interacting with the remote Redis, or if this is just their own copy. Because I see the netcat 44 dot whatever. So that's definitely, I don't think that's their own system. But the question to me is that the target system for the CTF, or is it one of their own? Yeah. All right. So I'm really curious here, because you've got the thing about the redirect parameter. There's also the note there about the container, about being inside the container. I'm not familiar with any kind of like particular service.
We just saw here Salesian going to the Discord and asking for hints.
Yeah, I mean, you're halfway through the CTF and not halfway through the flags, so I can see a hint at this point. Unfortunately, none of us here, Marina, LZ, nor myself, know the challenges or the answers, so we can't give any hints other than our off-the-cuff speculation.
I already bought 2 hints in the past editions with my Twitch points, and I'm getting poor, y'all. So it's, y'all's job now to buy the hints from the Twitch store. I believe in you.
I see we got a couple folks in the chat that are giving big ups to Superhero, Ode being one of them, and then that plebeian potato. I love that name. 03F3, what up? Oh wait, Suit Guy, right? That's who 03F3 is, I think. Come on, Superhero, everyone's cheering for you.
Superhero in the chat. Bro, I'm trying to make people buy hints for y'all to help, with the CTF, but people are like, no, don't buy hints. So I'm sorry.
Suit Guy says they're going to buy a hint to not have hints. Oh. Okay, something came in there.
Yeah, looks like you got the connect back.
Yeah, and we did see. Okay, yeah, this is what we saw, I think, Superhero doing earlier, where they were also receiving the request through that redirect. One thing that's different here, I think that Salesian changed the HTTP verb. So I think there was a get previously, but now Salesian changed it to a post. And I've seen that before, where changing the HTTP method can get you a different response or cause something different to happen on the server.
Yeah, that's always been my go-to with these things, waiting to see what the verb does.
But yeah, so the thing about the security issue inside the container, I was trying to think, like, is there a particular service that you can hit from inside a Docker container that's like, universal for Docker, or like with Kubernetes, is there like something on the control plane you can hit from inside the container? And so maybe if you were in a Kubernetes pod and you had this SSRF, could you like use the SSRF to like, make a request to the control plane to like dump secrets or something like that maybe? But I don't know enough about containers yet. Oh, okay. Host.docker.internal. All right, that's a new one. Oh yeah, and we did see the IP address there of 172.17.0.1. That's like a common, like the route gateway for containers.
Uh-oh.
Is the scoreboard down again?
Someone just redeemed John the winner screen time.
Nice. All right, let's see if it cooperates. So what's hilarious here is that John the winner, every time that we try to see their screen, it like rarely cooperates. It spins.
Look at that. It's happening again. God damn it.
I think somebody did this to troll you, Marina.
Freaking Nahum sack. Hey, Hamsack, I see you.
What up, RFDS Labs? Thanks for joining us.
It's not just you.
Yeah, I'm getting the same spinning here. And so whoever redeemed those Twitch points to see the screen, this is it. This is what you paid for.
Be hilarious if they have this running on a separate screen.
Yes.
So Sukai also redeemed player screen time from Superhero. So we're going to Superhero just to be sure we have one of the redeemed screens. And we're going to then try John the winner again in a few minutes.
Cool. Yeah, we'll come back and see if it works out.
And Sukai is redeeming messages, and we're getting to redeem messages here in the private chat, and it's just a bunch of weird Egyptian characters.
Suit Guy wants y'all to know wingdings. Amazing.
I love y'all.
I love it. Now these are all like emojis, I think. Or maybe they are hieroglyphics. Yeah, they look like the Egyptian stuff. That's dope. Suit Guy redeems 1 free fuzzing session. One of my favorite things to do is to put Zalgo text everywhere. And most people like don't know of the existence of Zalgo text. So they see, something I put in and they're like, what did you do? Like, what happened? All right, so we're watching Superhero currently. Still poking at this admin page, but they're going through Hookbin now on the SSRF, and I'm not familiar with Hookbin. Is that one you've seen before, LZ?
I'm already on Google pulling it up.
Nice. Yeah, I've learned. I've seen ngrok before, but I learned there was like reverseshell.sh. There was something else. I've got it in my notes. But like these other services that I had no idea about, I've learned through UHC. Super cool. And I like these. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I say ngrok's super useful for standing stuff up for testing.
Yeah, I like these third-party services, especially where you get HTTPS, right? So that kind of gives you some confidentiality in the request, and looks legit, right? HTTPS stuff, it's secure, it's trusted. I like building C2 infrastructure with API gateway, and so API gateway you can do with like everything serverless, and you get HTTPS, and it's in AWS, so everything looks pretty legit coming out of the network. So one of my go-tos for sure.
Sukai has submitted a question. So Sukai, if you're out there here in the chat with us, just let us know the question so we can read out loud and then answer you.
Yeah, I think there's a bug there with redeeming the question. It seems like when people redeem the question, it often doesn't come through. So Suit Guy, what's your question? Post it to us in the chat.
You should really post it very quickly, because if you don't, we're gonna start telling like dad jokes here.
Well, I did see someone ask earlier why a player would be using light mode instead of dark mode, and I think the answer is because light attracts bugs.
Oh Jesus! I warned y'all.
Okay, Suit Guy asks, "What's your favorite thing about Superhero?" Well, I guess I would put that question back to you, Suit Guy. Like, why? Who is the best player in this round, and why is it Superhero?
I think superheroes are overrated.
I will honestly answer with what up? I will honestly answer with what I like about Superhero is that they have big text, big font, and so it's easy to read. So I have a large appreciation for that. And it looks like they've pulled the actual IP address of the host now. So oh, nice! And they discovered open port 3389. So that's that RDP that you were talking about earlier, LZ. Nice.
Oh man, Blue Dragon Sec just gave us the best idea ever for the store. We need an option to buy jokes. I love it.
This is the
We should do this.
This is the first time in my life that anybody has told me they will pay for my jokes.
Buy a freestyle.
Just Twitch points.
Yes.
Twitch points.
Yes, buy a freestyle. See, nobody's expressed interest in that. Everybody's expressing interest in my jokes. Maybe I'm in the wrong calling here. Maybe I should quit rap music and start doing stand up.
Nerdcore comedian.
There's so many people that are already really good at that, right? Like Jason and Jack Daniel, like they're like really good at that stuff.
A whole new take on UDP jokes.
Yeah. I still don't know if I got it.
So someone already bought a hint, and the hint is now out. So the players should have access to the hint pretty soon, or in the next seconds or minutes. So a hint is out for the players now.
LZ in the chat, Briskets is saying we need a hot 16. So you're up. Let's hear it. One verse.
I can't. That's not me. I'm just a big fan. At work, most of the people know that I'm a rapper, but jokingly, we were in a meeting, and so as a joke, I'll call on other people to rap. I'll be like, oh yeah, like while we're waiting for everybody to join the meeting, like so and so, like can you do a rap for us or something? And one time I did it to the project manager, and he actually rapped. He rapped 6 a.m. by Ice-T. It was incredible. Totally unexpected. It was. I was blown away. So then I kept asking, like every other meeting after that, can you do a rap? Okay, this is the hint.
Let's see if I can reach out to John Rivers' stream now.
All right, yeah, we're trying to come back.
You need to get the server address.
Oh, it worked. Okay, so now we're going for the John Rivers screen. Oh, John the winner.
So maybe we were right about you need to attack, get the server address and attack the highest service. If that was 3389 on the other one, would have been the highest port that somebody has shown so far.
Yeah, in that, I think it was Nmap output though. I think I only saw 80 and 3389. I don't know if I saw a third service.
Yeah, it's true.
I wonder if it's on UDP maybe, which would be awful. Like unless there's, I can't think of like a high numbered port service that I know on UDP. When I think UDP, I think 161 for SNMP, and what else? There's like one other one that's my go-to that I'm blanking on.
NTP, SNMP, that's about it really.
Yeah.
You could do like SIP, but we're getting way out there.
Yeah. That would be cool though. You have like SIP and you like pull, like a voicemail or something like that. That'd be dope. Let's see. So, okay. So the redemption for John the winner's screen finally working, and John poking at this the redirect there for the SSRF. And so I'm curious. I wonder if maybe it seems like some things hit and some things don't. So I wonder if there's like a security group or an access control or a firewall rule that's only allowing maybe the request to go out to particular addresses or something, or maybe it's blind. Maybe it's a blind SSRF. Let's see. Was there another question? Walter Chen is asking in the chat. Walter Chen, did you redeem a question? Sorry if we missed it. Whoa, I'm in second place for all-time points. Yes.
I'm in first place. Yay.
The real reason that I host UHC every week to stack up the Twitch points. Oh, nice. Sorry, Walter Chen, we totally missed your question. Yeah, we'll check on the question redeeming and make sure it went through okay. Sorry if we missed it. No.
Sorry. Walter Chen asked about the hint because the hint was not showing as a product to buy on the Twitch store. And I told everyone here in the chat we were going to check with the staff. The staff is checking that. Apparently, everything is normal for the staff. So they're still taking a closer look to see what the fuck's going on.
So here the staff is telling us Walter Chen redeemed a question, a dad joke.
God damn it.
Well, LZ, you're technically a dad, right?
I am.
This one's on you. I leave it to you.
I got nothing.
Oh, come on.
Put me on the spot. I got nothing.
Hi, nothing. I'm
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
Not even a knock knock one.
No, I just troll my daughter. No jokes. Actually, this is a good trolling story though. I told her there was a written part to take her driving test. And she thought that was real for quite some time and was preparing to write a multi-paragraph about why she deserved the license to give to New York State.
All right. I got one. What do you call a turtle that surfs the dark web? It is a tortoise.
Hey! I like it.
That's so bad. Jesus Christ.
I've got one. Why do scuba divers fall backwards out of the boat?
Why? I don't know.
Because if they fell forward, they'd still be inside the boat.
Oh, okay. So it's not an infosec joke.
No, it's just a dad joke.
0 days already pressing F. Press F for respect, y'all.
Yes, paying respects.
What have you done?
Come for the hacking, stay for the dad jokes.
We just lost like 10 viewers.
Time to raid someone else.
Thank you, Walter Chen, for saying that you got paid. You got what you paid for. I appreciate that.
I was trying to see, did anybody do a full port scan on that? Or they do like a top 100?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I didn't. Oh, I did see. I think it was Superhero did a -p- with their nmap, so that does scan all of the TCP ports, unless you specify the SU. And it looks here that John is kind of trying to do a service discovery with burp intruder and then that SSRF. So you can do the payload list is sequential from 1 to 65,535, the range for ports that exist, and then have that passed off as part of your payload. So I think that burp does rate limiting on intruder in the community edition though. So I think here I would probably go for like a for loop or some kind of loop in the shell and pass it to like curl. And then you could proxy the curl requests and responses through burp. So you could still get everything. Interesting. That error message 1 is an invalid value. Okay. It says number range. Last I checked, 1 was a number. Oh, okay. Step 1, maybe. There it goes. Yeah. Okay. I needed to know how much to increment by for each one. Cool. Got it. Man, that is like a VB flashback for me. In Visual Basic, like the for loops, you'd have to write like what the increment was, as I think the keyword was step. Wow. Blast from the past.
You just got to hang on to that for a little while. All that stuff comes back around. That'll be the new bypass in a couple of months.
Yeah. I have to pull all my like AOL proggies up off of the floppy disks, and I'll just be like punters and scrollers and faders and everything left and right.
Rolling dice.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Wow. That was a completely different life.
You do the grandpa InfoSec hour with us.
Oh, okay.
Talk about egg drop bots and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. BNC and all that. Wow. Yeah, I've like blocked out all those memories. And they weren't even traumatic. It was just a bad memory, I guess. Cool. Okay, so yeah, here we see ngrok, which we mentioned earlier, being set up in the redirect parameter on the left side there. This is in burp repeater. And so I think what John, the winner, is testing is to see whether this request is going to come from the application and request this ASD.text through the ngrok tunnel. Ngrok I really like for resolving networking issues for me. Just set up a listener and catch those connections easy and I'm not particularly strong in networking. So LZ, maybe for you, you're like do it in my sleep and catch shells behind 10 nats, no problem.
Yeah, that's where a lot of my background was in networking. So at one point I was an engineer for a large ISP, and they had gear from every vendor out there. So trying to make all that work and play nice together was a good time.
And so now tell us, is that, as a networking specialist, is it inaccurate then that we can't be hacked behind 7 proxies?
You need 8.
You need 8 proxies. Okay.
7's not enough anymore.
Yeah. It's like an NSA trap, I think. You can't catch me. I'm behind 7 proxies. Like NSA will catch you, but behind 8, invincible. So I think that looks to me like the request got made, right? I see that /asd.text. So that looks good. So, and I guess up top, it looks like the SSRF map is set up to run, but it's just not running yet, I don't think. But again, John using that request functionality where you can save off the request from Burp, pass it in to the application, and you don't have to muck with all of the command line stuff. Super nice.
Yeah, if you learn nothing else today, walking away with that is a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, O'Day with 8 proxies going through Tor and the NSA internal VPN. Ooh, brave. Oh man, can you imagine the proxy chains output? You got to have like -Q for that, I think.
Yeah. I think from coming from networking and that whole background, the one thing, if I had to tell people to learn something, would be all of the fun stuff you can do with SSH. Like, I think that was such an overlooked thing. Like, I'd been using SSH for years, but until I got into security, I never touched like SOX proxying and forwarding and reverse tunneling. Like, those are invaluable.
Yeah. Once you like wrap your head around tunneling, it becomes this like immensely powerful tool. And you can move traffic, through systems, hit services that you couldn't hit previously. And you're right. It's valuable. But I feel like everybody gets it in a different way. And so, if you struggle with tunneling or pivoting, just try reading and experimenting with a bunch of different articles until it makes sense to you. I've seen it diagrammed and walked through a myriad of ways, and some of them make more sense to me than others. And I think it's just different for each person. But when you get it, it becomes incredibly powerful. We were talking about on Twitter maybe a month or so ago about SSH agent forwarding. And that's like an awesome way to kind of like progress your presence inside the network without having to, necessarily do super amazing hacks. You can just find the socket and go, which is also another excellent SSH gymnastic.
Yeah, I've run into it before in like a CTF style, competition where there's like multiple lab boxes you need to hack and having to use SSH to pivot around, once you compromise a single host to get into a subnet behind it. So invaluable.
I had a red team op where we got to a particular point on the network and there was the SSH agent forwarding. So we needed a person to log in so that we could then like move off of that. And it was like Friday afternoon or something. And I was like, well, we could do is send them like an email from the server that we're on with something like really benign, like this partition is full or something like that, right? That's not security related, but it would like get them to log in and check on the host. And I was like, but it's Friday afternoon, like, don't do it. Like, we'll do it on Monday, no problem. And we already had like automation set up so that as soon as they authenticated, we would programmatically move. And then I got up and I go to the bathroom and I come back and the team is like, yeah, we sent the email. And I'm like, don't do it. This person is going to get this email at like, 10 o'clock. They've probably already like checked out for the day. They're going to happen to like look at their phone, after they've finished whatever movie they're watching. And then they're going to freak out and like, have to log into work. I was like, So I was like, let me see the email that you sent. And I think the box that we were on was like RHEL or CentOS or something like that, right? And the email that they sent was for like it was some like D message or DF output for like an Ubuntu box. And it had like, the wrong distro, the wrong kernel version. And I think it was like a Logitech keyboard error or something like that. And I was like, this person is not going to check this. Like if I saw this, I would be like, this is totally suspect and like report it to the blue team immediately. But sure enough, at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., the person definitely logged into the box and we progressed on the network as we needed to. So I guess it works sometimes.
That's what I was saying. You can never write anything off. Like,
yeah. Don't make assumptions. Okay, so we're checking John still, and John working on that the PHP object here in the PHP session ID cookie. I feel like having seen the serialization bugs 2 weeks in a row now, if I was going to play UHC, I might look at like what previous weeks have happened or what's happened in previous weeks, and then figure out like what I should focus on for the current week. Let's see.
Hey, Walter Chen, thank you for cheering. Cheered a lot. Cheered so many bits.
Whoa, thank you so much. Walter Chen must have really liked my dad joke, apparently.
Oh my God, no, please no.
it's a whole new segment.
Please God, no, please God.
Thank you, Anon1, an anonymous cheerer, for your Anon1 cheer. Oh, the hints are sold out. Oh, interesting.
If the hints are sold out, that means there is a second hint that should be live in a few minutes, because we are now officially in late game. We are in our last hour of the game tonight.
Nice. All
All
right.
right,
And I think Walter Chen bought screen time, right?
Yes, that is correct. Screen time of Superhero, the most cheered player here tonight. So let's take a look on what's Superhero doing.
Look how they're trying to run some exploit on CredSSP for RDP.
Nice. I am not familiar with CredSSP. What's that about?
So that's the credential service store for part of RDP, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what exploit this is. Hold on.
I wonder it looks like it's a separate standalone thing. All of my like Windows exploit knowledge around like Windows internal stuff is like Impacket. That's the first thing I think of. So I'm like, is this part of Impacket?
Is this a CV from 2018?
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Was that when that big RDP bug happened that was like unauth code exec?
I don't know. I'm trying to see which one this one actually is.
But Superhero here on our on one of my favorite sites, Hack Tricks, seriously is like one of my go-tos every time I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going up against right now. That plebeian potato says 2018-08-86. So yeah, I am definitely not that familiar with the Windows side. My Windows experience is all like writing and reversing malware. So I'm familiar with the APIs, or I was in the previous life. But as far as like actual window hacking, I have to look a lot of things up. I'm like Kerbrute and Responder and Mimigatos and CrackMap exec, and I think that's like WinDApp search. Those are my go-tos, and then after that, I'm like totally searching. And so LZ, with that 3389 exposed, that kind of indicates that it's a Windows host, right, and not necessarily a Linux host. And I think that we don't really see many Windows hosts here in UHC.
Yeah, and I would imagine it wouldn't be an exploit because that's sitting on the internet. So, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like a credential reuse or default creds or something like that.
And I haven't seen anybody try to actually like RDP into the box. Like I've seen people run some Nmap scripts against it to enumerate like what its encryption level is and things like that, but I haven't seen anybody try to stand up a connection. Yeah,
that was my initial thought too, was just, our desktop and go and see what it comes up. Would be hilarious if there's like a text file open, on the session and it's got a flag right there.
Background, just like the password is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. The password hint is like, you just hit on the login screen and it's got it. Oh, yeah. Here we go. All right.
It might have NLA, so you might not get actual desktop, but.
And what's NLA?
Network level access. So you'll get a screen like this before you actually get like the traditional when you RDP and you can see the desktop window. You'll just get a box like this.
Got it. Okay. So that's interesting. So maybe you need to hit the RDP through the SSRF, but I don't know how you would be able to have that interaction, like a meaningful interaction that way.
Well, we'll see what happens with this. Oh, yeah. See how it's asking for creds before you get an actual window? Yeah,
I see. Yeah, it's asking for the domain. Interesting. Huh.
You might have been right, though. I mean, nobody's looked at... They said there was 3 services on this box, so...
Right, yeah. And with the 3 services on the box, they got 3389 for the RDP. It shows that it's in EC2. So that's cool. Man, so hold on. You've got an SSRF. You're in EC2. Nobody's pulled the metadata service creds. That's like the first thing that I go for with an SSRF and EC2. What is everyone doing?
not listening to you.
Yeah. Where's Nahamsek? Nahamsek, get in here and start typing in the channel again. Metadata.
I'm here in both chats. I can't just go and scream metadata.
Yeah, it's so funny, like knowing what I know now about AWS APIs. I think back on all the red team ops that I did that were in AWS, where I worked my way through the environment as a traditional network instead of going for the access credentials and then attacking the control plane of the environment. Definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I say that's been a hard thing for like the industry. People are like, "Oh, I want a pen test on a cloud or something like that," but you're missing like Amazon has like 79 services outside of EC2 or something along those lines, and it's like all the rest of this is all of the cloud thing, not just like a VPS.
Right. Yeah, I feel like still a number of people have this idea of, and maybe I'm using the term wrong, but of like lift and shift, right? Where it's just like, we're going to take what's running in the data center and we're just going to like throw it into a cloud and like, it'll be fine. It'll be the exact same way. But like, really, I think in a lot of those situations, you've got to re-architect what your solution is to really take advantage of what, cloud offerings are really giving you. But it is funny because I always get a kick out of being in a cloud environment and attacking that like control plane layer. And meanwhile, the blue team in some cases is like, yeah, we're, we've got the EC2 instances locked down. Like they're logging everything. And I'm like, I'm not even touching the EC2 instance. Like, I'm like making copies of like everything else in the environment. I'm like looting everything else. I'm like, don't even need the EC2 instances.
Yeah, we find that a lot where we'll get like some level credential access into like the backplane or the admin level, and then we'll pull down like a whole domain controller out of a cloud.
Yep.
Just, like why bother breaking in when you can just take the whole thing?
Yeah, exactly, right? You don't need a session on the actual inside the EC2 instance when you can just like take a snapshot of the volume and then just like make a copy of the volume and take the volume. Like, great, there's your, and as long as it's decrypted, you've got the ntdis or ntds.dit or whatever, like all the things you need to dump out should be right there.
Yeah, we run into it a lot when people run hybrid networks just because nobody's an expert on, especially when places are like, oh, we're going to use Azure, AWS, and every other cloud technology. You might have somebody who's an expert on one, but across all 3 or 4, there's just mistakes are easy to make.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you've got multi-cloud and all of that stuff. Whoa, Tech Cryptic with a blast from the past. Lenshell or Lenshell. I never knew how people pronounce it. I was always read it as Lenshell, but maybe Lenshell. From the AOL days with the VB6 stuff. Yeah, I definitely remember that. Like all the AOL stuff. There's like a ton of like Tripod and AngelFire and GeoCities pages that had all kinds of proggies on them. I think like some of that stuff is still kind of around. I haven't been on Facebook much in the last like year and change, but when I was on Facebook, there was like a AOL Proggies, like a private group that was really cool that people would post like screenshots of old Proggies and everything. Super cool.
I had a Mac back then, so Mac, like all that stuff's backed up on the internet. Space Rogue has an archive of all of that, and you can actually spin up a Mac OS 9 VM now. So I was looking at all that the other day because I was looking at like ResEdit and a couple old programs, throwback.
Yeah. Was ResEdit that would allow you to edit the resources of an application?
Yeah, you could like change the icons or change like pictures inside different games, stuff like that.
Yeah. You mentioned Mac, and in AOL stuff, there was AOL 2.7 for Mac, and there was a kid named Hypa who just had like all of these tools, had like figured out all these crazy things. And so they were the one, I remember Hypa just had like wild stuff. Like their name started with like 8 spaces. And like, how do you have a screen name that starts with 8 spaces? And they're like, I'm on AOL 2.7 for Mac. They just had like all this crazy tooling they built. And they were like the only person I knew, and I didn't even know them. I just, online, but they were the only person I knew that had a Mac back then.
Yeah, it was funny because so that far back, like you couldn't even run like NetBSD on Macs. I had to run like a Unix emulator, and that's how I learned like Linux and Unix back then.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. I think OS 10 was when they switched to the BSD kernel, right?
Yeah. But even before that, if I wanted to knock out OS X and just put NetBSD on, like it didn't support certain PowerPC stuff back then.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah. I learned Linux because somebody that I hacked with on AOL, they were like, "Oh, I run Slackware, and it's super cool." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll put it on my system." And I had no idea what disk partitioning was or formatting or anything like that, so I just totally blew away my hard drive putting Slackware on it. And then I got this login prompt, and I logged in. And then I was like, okay, now what? It's like literally nothing. There was no UI. It was just straight like a shell. And I was like, oh, like what have I done?
You're like, oh, I'll just use a text editor. Oh wait.
Yep.
And then now you're still stuck in it.
Yeah. But I learned a lot. I remember I was the only person I knew that got a Win modem to work in Linux. So that was dope. So I had I had dial up at home. So I got my Win modem to work, and then I ran that out, onto a network, and then I had like a NAT and all this stuff. So I learned a lot about Linux stuff in like super hard mode.
I know I had to talk my parents into like, we need to get rid of AOL, and I need this thing called a PPP connection so I can get on the whole internet. And they're like, okay.
AOL is the internet, though.
Yeah. That was back before you could even like get on the whole internet from AOL.
Yeah. I remember finding like IRC, and a lot of the servers would like kick you off coming from AOL IP space.
Yeah, we just dated ourselves by a lot now.
Yep. I blame the people in the chat egging us on. Okay, so let's see. We're watching Akai 16.
Yes, I'm just jumping around and seeing what everyone's doing.
Sure. Did that last hint ever come out, by the way?
I just asked here on the staff channel, and I should get an answer in a few minutes.
Nice. All right. Because we are in late game, and I think the scoreboard is still tied or down, maybe. I'm not sure. Excuse me.
Still tied. Still the same scoreboard that we had for the past hour.
All right. Yeah. So Big0us still at the top. Superhero second. Bert, Mateus, Joao.
Why did you do that?
I tried. I was just going with the flow. John, the winner, in fifth, and Silesian in sixth. I don't know who Corrupted Bites is.
He's here on the room 8.
Okay.
Right
Got
here.
it. Nice.
Oh, staff just let me know that the second hint is still not out.
Okay. Cool. Oh, in the chat, Ode is saying that Eclipse has a shell. Let's bounce down to Ode. or to Eclipse rather.
Oh, you just missed. Somebody is googling about Gopher.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of throwback.
Well, Go4us is like a tool that I learned about here on UHC for proxying these kinds of requests. All right, so it looks like, all right, so we're watching Eclipse currently, and let's see, PwnCat. That's a new one to me. I don't know PwnCat. Is that supposed to be like Netcat, but hacker cool looking? Nice. Okay, so let's see. In the bottom right, it looks like they've got the Redis client, and yeah, that looks like a shell in the top right on the EC2 instance as www data, so as the web app.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Let's see what Eclipse does. I'm curious how they got this shell.
It looks like did they upload? No, it looks like they wrote a file out with on the bottom right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, config set db file name exploit.php, and then I guess that save wrote it to disk. Huh, cool. I did see that in the expl.php in the browser. I guess the next question I have is
there's the key. They missed it, unless they copy and pasted it. It was in the sort. Oh, is that the first one?
That's the first one. Yeah. Yep. But you bring up a good point in that usually at this stage, once I expand my presence inside of an environment in the CTF, I usually go for like a quick hit of doing like a grep for the flag prefix and see if I can find a flag quickly without having to manually go look through everything. But I have also seen in UHC, so like here the flags are prefixed with UHC curly brace, and in UHC I have seen where a file will be like have U space H space C. So if you're just grepping for like UHC curly brace, you won't find it. Oh, that looks promising. If username is admin and password is this particular string. Nice.
Nice.
So that looks like you might be able to take that password and log in to the admin panel, I'm guessing. But does that get you any functionality that you don't have already? Because you've already got the shell, so I'm not sure that that this actually gets you anything. Backups.db, nice. Or backup.db. And that just looks like it just has Redis in it.
Oh, look, Solution.
Nice. So Solution hot on the trail with Eclipse. Looks like they might be step for step there.
Can you remove that, or is that in the?
Yeah, you're not supposed to inhibit the player's progress. So yeah, that was something that was a fun aspect yesterday in playing Hacker of the Hill, was that the first person to get on the box was then able to start patching ingress methods to the box to keep other people off of the system. So it was my first time playing like a King of the Hill or Hacker of the Hill setup, and so it gave me a lot of ideas for stuff to do in that kind of scenario. And now I'm looking forward to playing more of those for sure.
Did you ever do the red team at ISTS at RIT?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were out there once. They have a CTF like that.
Nice. Yeah, I did B-Sides Rochester once.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the only CTF I've seen where college teams can attack each other while defending against the blue team. So it was kind of a unique take.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's a great aspect to like think on the fly and have a better understanding of how systems work and how to protect things, and also like get exposure to see what other people do on a system, right? Like we all have our own like internal run books of how we think about things and our patterns that we do, but other people do things differently, and it's always fascinating to see what people do in certain situations.
Solution's doing a fine now also. for I think what the flag like you mentioned with the prefix.
Superhero in the chat asking, why am I the only one who got a different IP back? And I don't think this is a hint, but I'll just mention that in previous episodes of UHC, they have used load balancers. So I don't know if that's the case here, but it could be that maybe there's a load balancer, and that's why different people get get different IPs. Hexit saying Ponecat and Linpeas. This guy learned off John Hammond. I have not seen John Hammond use either. Well, I guess I think everybody's used Linpeas, but I didn't know Ponecat. I guess I need to watch more John Hammond videos. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm still surprised.
I don't know if Linpeas is going to help on a Windows box.
Right. Yeah, but are they on a Windows box?
It's got program data. I wonder if they're in like WSL or a Docker container or something because look at the paths right there.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. Huh. Oh man, what a time to be alive.
Am I in Linux? Am I in Windows?
Am I in one, in the other, in the other?
The Inception challenge.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, so this is Salesian's VPS, and it looks like they're catching the shell back. Cool. And all right, fixing up the shell. Elsie, what's your preferred shell fix-up method in this kind of scenario?
Python. The same thing they did. Just that's the easiest way to import a TTY.
I've been using script recently. I'm finding more systems that have script but don't have Python, and so I think script has been there in everything, and Python has not always been there. So I usually do the script-qc and then bash and devnull, and that seems to work well. Also, another thing that I started doing was, so you do like the stty raw-echo.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that before your netcat listener, and then so if you do like stty raw-echo semicolon netcat listener semicolon stty sane, you can kind of like in one shot get everything, and then you don't have to background and foreground your processes. Oh, this looks good. All right, so it looks like they've mounted onto the host. I'm thinking, right? Because we see /mount/c/users, and that C users is a Windows path. All right. Now, can we find the next flag? Or do you need to get out of the container maybe? I mean, you've got the host file system access, it seems like at this point. Real GGTV saying Napster founded 1999 and then wrong chat. What is the right chat? I want to be in that one.
We were having throwback chat.
Yeah, you're in the right place. Hacking with our hacker friends.
Before Napster, XDCC bots.
Yeah. DCC send. Oh, wow. The original chat faders. All right. Oh, interesting. So they're going to make a loop here. Salesian's going to make a loop going out through the host and then back into the Docker file system. Oh, okay. So Elsie, if you've got access to the Windows host file system, where would you be looking for a flag, or how would you be trying to quickly find a flag here?
I mean, I would try the root of the drive and then see if there's a user, but I don't think there was. I think there was just the Docker user. Find should work across that file system too, though.
Right, because it's mounted, so
Yeah.
unless you did something like -xdev, I think it would not traverse that. Yeah, here we go. Silesian must be listening to our stream.
RM-RF.
grep for any file that has the word flag in it and then remove it. Or change the content.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Did anybody dive into the process list?
No, not that I've seen yet. And that's always a good thing to look at, 'cause that can show potentially sensitive files that you would want to go after. I wonder if linps will find that it's in the container and maybe find anything else helpful. Have you seen, I think it's called Linux Smart Enumeration?
I have not.
It's another script that's kind of like linps, but it kind of, at least in the times that I've only used it a few times, the times that I've used it, it kind of gives just more information about the system, not necessarily in a security context, though, not necessarily guided towards privess. But if you know what you're looking for, or you know what you're looking at in the results, it can be super helpful because it's kind of more in depth about what's going on the system. But I love how linps has the links back to hack tricks, so you can quickly go and look at the article for more context.
Every time I do these, I always hope there's some weird like pseudo thing I can abuse, and like a lot of the times there's just like a password in a text file somewhere, so you don't get to do anything awesome.
Yeah. One of the weird context switches for me is that I rarely find sudo to be helpful when I'm in a real environment. And so as a result, when I play CTFs and I get shells, I'll do like a bunch of other stuff before I think to look at like sudo-l. And so many times sudo-l is like, oh yeah, you can run this binary with privileges. And I'm like, like that was it, shoot.
You're like, I can't run that, I'll get caught. Oh
yeah. Exactly. Which that's also like one of the things that kind of worries me about playing CTF, because I get like loose, right? And I'm like, oh, like there's no consequences here. And so I don't want to take that back with me to like day job and be like, yeah, it's fine. Just, throw a reverse shell in netcat. No big deal.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time like reforming pen testing techniques to go to red teaming, because you're used to going fast versus thinking like 4 or 5 steps ahead. And that's a really hard thing to break. It's almost one of those things where if you get somebody, fresh out of college that hasn't done pen testing, they might be able to build a better mindset quicker about making those decisions.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so do y'all have like an internal initiative at work for training that across teams?
Yeah, I pop up behind people and yell OPSEC. So yeah, the people like, what would LZ do? And I would say, take a day or two and think about where you are and what you're going to do first. And like I said, that's the hardest transition for most people. With pen testing, you're maybe doing a pen test for 2 or 3 weeks. You might not want to burn 2 days, doing a bunch of recon thinking about something, but in, more targeted attacks, I mean, that's how you do something cool.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that's interesting here, the bash history file, it has content, 361 bytes, owned by John, and then only read-writable by the John account. So maybe the path is to find a way to pivot into access as the John account, and then check that bash history file. And we did see that credential in the PHP code. Maybe, like for me, when I find new accounts to look at, I always think like, what credentials do I know? What passwords or keys do I have or whatever? And then I don't know if you call that credential stuffing or password spraying, but then I try those known credentials against the known accounts that I have and see if any of them match up.
So I think they tried to switch user with that password, but I don't know if they tried to RDP with that password.
Ooh, yeah, RDPing from the point of the shell. So right, with that shell, you could maybe throw like a chisel tunnel or something like that. I don't know that. I guess you could do like an SSH reverse tunnel as well.
RDP was exposed on this box.
Right, but weren't you saying there was like maybe the network?
Oh no.
Access.
You can log in. You just don't get a full desktop before you log in.
Got it.
So
Okay.
you'll get the prompt that says you need to give it username, password, and domain first. You don't get like traditional username login box and can see the background.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, so potentially that set of credentials, maybe for even this John user, but through RDP as the authentication mechanism might work out here. And another thing that we're seeing right now, Selesian is grepping for the UHC flag prefix. This is something that I advocate for as a CTF player. But if you notice, there was the results of all these like permission denied. That's so much noise. And you can actually alleviate that by doing redirecting the standard error file handle to dev null. So if you do like 2 greater than /dev/null, all of those error messages will be suppressed. And then that way you only catch like what you're looking for. Ooh, another history file. All right. And let's see, do we see who that history was owned by John as well? So I'm starting to feel like John is like the next step here. And, with the shell, like, got to do, I guess, some enumeration and figure out a way to get that John user. Nice. I'm just going to check on Eclipse really quickly, see how they're faring, because I think they had a shell also, right?
They did.
Yeah, let's see. So here we are on Eclipse screen, smaller font, unfortunately. But let's see, looking back in that top right.
For backup files.
Yeah. Okay, and this looks like LinP's output as well. Got it. All right. So yeah, I guess just kind of getting a file listing here of the Windows host that's mounted through that /mnt/mount. And only 30 minutes left. So we'll see. I feel like they're pretty close to another flag here. They just got to figure out, where it is. And then at the end, regardless of if somebody gets all the flags or we run out of time in the 30 minutes, we're going to raid into the Brazilian live, and it'll be both English and Portuguese. But we will go through the solutions and we'll talk with the winner. So we'll have the challenge author as well as the winner live, and we'll get all of our questions answered to figure out how this was actually supposed to be hacked. Yeah. That plebeian potato says, John seems like an important person. I agree. Hire this person. Get John on the phone right now. Let's see here. Oh, nice. Another use of ngrok. Super cool. I think the free tier of ngrok gets you 1 connection. And then I think there are paid tiers for more connections and TLS and everything. Does that sound right to you, LZ?
Yeah, you get the malware tier.
free backdoor factory with with every connection.
Yeah, it's like a paste bin. You take the good and the bad.
Nice. Okay, cool. And I guess, oh, wow. Okay, so they're doing the reverse shell with Perl. Good old Perl. I think like the only place where I haven't seen Perl is in a Docker container. And maybe on some Windows hosts. I have seen, like, I don't know if they make it anymore, but active Perl was a thing I would find on Windows hosts back in the day.
I haven't seen Perl in a while. I definitely don't miss CPAN and trying to get modules installed.
Yeah. Yeah. Another point of our, like, what's old is new. We were talking about Python dependencies and managing all the Python versions. And that's the modern day iteration of Perl and all the CPAN modules. All right. So yeah, I guess Eclipse looking through the file systems, it seems like Selesian and Eclipse are just trying to figure out where this next flag is. And I'm guessing that it is not accessible from the www data account. I think you're going to have to get to. I'm just guessing that you're going to have to get to grep or get to John. Selesian looks like has pulled down ripgrep. That's another tool that I did not know about before UHC. Ripgrep is like a fast version of grep that will just like tear through directories much faster somehow. Which I always thought grep was, highly optimized because it's been around forever. But apparently there are iterations that are even faster. And I think there was like, I remember like Silver Searcher and what else? There was something else that was like really fast for doing, file content searching. LZ, are you on any of these like hot new grep implementations, or are you just like old school grep?
I'm a dinosaur with that stuff. Everybody always looks to save, a few seconds. Like on this, it works. For me, I've been sticking with grep.
Yeah, and I tend to stay with grep mainly because it's there everywhere. Ripgrep is not there everywhere. So if I can use grep, then I'm covered in all cases. And that used to be the argument for Vi or Vim or whatever, but now containers, you don't need a text editor necessarily. Let's see. Yep, getting more of those permission denied errors. Yeah, there it is. There's that redirect for standard error. Nice. I think, okay, so that was just tab completion. Yeah, I think if you just do like a star right there after the C, it should search, or you could just do /mount and search through.
This might be one of those rabbit holes like we were talking about when you were saying moving to the John user is probably the...
Right. Yeah, it is quite possible to go down, looking for a flag, and there just isn't one there, and you've burned a bunch of time, and the clock is still ticking.
Because they're still on. They haven't got to flag 2 yet, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, everybody at the first flag, and I think Big0us is actually in the lead. So imagine that. Like all you needed was to just find the HTTP response before everyone else. Let's see here. I'm just going to pop back down to Eclipse and see how they're doing. Just real quickly. Nope. Okay. Eclipse had found a directory named SSH, which I would be like, oh yeah, sweet. Maybe there's like, private key, or maybe you could add your keys to your public key to the authorized key files. This file looks interesting. RegID. I'm not familiar. Does that look like anything you know of?
Where are you? Oh, let me.
Yeah, we're on Eclipse.
I do not know what that is.
Looks like they catted it. Okay, so I guess maybe I'm looking for the path delimiter there, but yeah, it's just XML, and
it's like the Windows version.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. I thought I saw something with like remote desktop, and I was like, ooh, maybe this is some like stored credential file or something with remote desktop. Jump to an ISO shell. I am not familiar with this. Use an ISO shell after extract. Okay, so maybe this is just how to extract how to extract an ISO image, which I think you can just do, at least if you have with Linux binaries, you can do mount and then mount it as loopback, and then it'll extract the image into a file system. I like these shortcuts. I want to see what Eclipse has under Ode and also lolnet, but not math. I don't want to see the math shortcut. That's another thing too, is I'm always scared to play CTF with my browser in my CTF VM because I'm worried that like there's going to be some nastiness that's going to come through and then live inside of my CTF VM. Paranoid? OPSEC? I don't know. What would LZ do?
You said container.
Yeah.
The staff is here saying initiation folder, and that everyone should look at it.
Oh, is there like a sysprop deal?
Maybe like so the staff is giving us the hints in Brazilian Portuguese. So we're trying to translate what that means as far as the system is concerned.
Yeah, it's probably because Isa, the staff, she is listening to both of the streams at the same time. So whatever Kadu there in the other stream, he is the creator of the flags, passes on hints, spoken hints there in their live stream. Isa tries to to bring us here.
Yeah, maybe it's like in a init folder or something like that, or
Maybe.
inside the container. Like, what is the process that is like PID1? Like sometimes it's in init. Yeah, Psycho asking maybe recovery folder. That could be. There was a backups, right?
Yeah, you could do like if you have access, like the recovery folder was ever snapshotted, you'd have like copies of the registry.
Oh yeah, right. In the
like a backup copy of the SAM, like you could do for like local file includes for Windows.
Oh, right. Yeah, and so the backup copy of the SAM would have hashes that you could crack then, right?
Yeah, you need a copy of the register, the security, and the system.
Oh, okay.
But they should be in the backup folder if they're there.
Nice. So yeah, maybe that is the path to John. Let's see. Yeah, and Eclipse thinking the same thing. It looks like looking up for how to get credentials off of the system. Let's see. LZ, how much? What's like the proportion you would say of your targets that are Windows versus Linux?
Like 98.
98% Windows?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we break into a lot of clients that have Linux. We'll try to move there because EDR products aren't as strong. But I would say the vast majority of our time is spent in Windows environments.
Oh, wow.
A lot depends on the type of enterprise clients you work with. Like places have Linux, and like I said, we'll go there. It's just not, a lot of times they're targeting and their mindset's just around the Windows. So if they'll say get to a particular server and steal something, a lot of times it just happens to be Windows. But we'll move through Linux because sudo is not locked down, or bash history files are a disaster, things like that.
By the way, we are streaming Silesian screen right now, and Silesian actually is got the RDP stuff up.
Huh.
So it looks like they're trying some different credentials.
Oh,
I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not sure where that credential came from, that Docker at 123.
Wait.
Whoa, did they get in?
Are they in already? They're trying to RDP back to...
Ooh,
okay.
Nice.
We're almost in our last 15 minutes.
So this is where my knowledge kind of runs out. I don't have a lot of like post exploitation experience. So LZ, what would you be doing in this situation?
Probably seeing who's local admin, who's got access to what. This is funny because it's Linux knowledge crashing into Windows knowledge for the command line stuff. There you go.
Yeah. Also, it was a keyboard setting. Did you see that? Like the keyboard setting was I think Silesian was typing / but getting a semicolon out in the console. So yeah, there's some interesting processes running. I see there's Python there. Light Agent, that one I'm not familiar with.
Don't know what that is. Oh, Zen Tools?
Oh, okay. And that rip grep still running. Silesian looking for a flag. Let's see.
Yeah, I was trying to see where they got the creds from to begin with, but
Yeah, that's one of the challenges with 10 players is that we can't cover everybody, so sometimes we miss how a particular step happened.
But we're gonna get the walkthrough at the end, so don't worry, y'all.
Yes, we'll have all the answers.
I guess that's the nice thing about this is 3 hours. You're not spending a whole weekend trying to figure out where you went wrong.
Right. Yeah. And you get the answers at the end, so you play and you at least have some idea of what it was. Bunch of permission denied. Got to filter that dev null. Filter that standard error. All right, let's see. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the RDP didn't get them any further access than what they already had through the mount.
Trash.
Oh.
Oh,
nice.
well. is that raging?
What about the Redis config? Yeah, I was going to say maybe there's like creds in there. Open it in Notepad. We have this meme on UHC about yelling at the screen where we're like, do this thing. We want to see this. There we go. PowerShell.
Slowly.
Do you find PowerShell restricted in many of the environments that you check out, LZ?
Yeah, so we were talking about this. There's a lot of debate back and forth, like, is PowerShell dead or not? And the way I look at it is I would try to stay out of a minefield because you might be able to bypass PowerShell detections in an EDR. You might be able to do it in an AV. Can you do it with an EDR, an AV, and then whatever else they have going on? I mean, that's the... So we try to avoid it whenever we can, at least for like code exec, doing stuff on a system maybe, but it's just not worth when your whole engagement is built around getting some kind of goal. We avoid it for the most part.
Got it. And so, are you able to use other applications that are already on the system, or are you using something like WMI? What's your like alternative?
So usually we'll move to whatever the company uses for remote access. I mean, some places still use PSExec, other places just use RDP. We'll try to figure out what they use for management and go that route. A lot of times just use the system as a SOX proxy and go after, Active Directory that way, just to keep processes off the computer. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing.
Nice.
Because nobody does inspection, right? Nobody is inspecting traffic that gets proxied across the box, and you don't have to play a game with signatures or other kinds of detections once you have something running in memory.
Sure. Yep. Oh, nice. There's the file run wallpaper setup, and then that's where they got the creds, where Silesian got the creds. Nice. And then in the chat, it was posted that Kadu, the challenge author in the Brazilian live, said that one of the players went by the flag and missed it. Oh, it's got to be rough. Imagine that you finish not in first, and and then you're watching the debrief or the rundown at the end, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so and so went by the flag. They already had it." What about run as can sometimes be a way for privilege escalation, right?
You can. A lot of these times, like the privilege escalation techniques on Windows is usually derived from, somebody setting up a service poorly. So it's hard to tell if this was, which route they went versus like on a, an actual system with a bunch of data. It's a lot easier to kind of figure out things that are set up wrong. But I don't think anybody's gone down the path of looking at Windows Privesc, like exploit suggester or like power up. There you go. Power up.
Yeah. Is PowerSploit? It's not still active, right? It's like,
I think everybody's moved over to like the C# implementations of all this stuff.
Yeah, I've seen like SharpHound and something else I'm blanking on.
Yeah, everybody realized that PowerShell was getting detected, then moved to C#, and then Microsoft is countering by putting AMC in .NET. So I don't know what everybody's going to do next, but
Oh yeah, and can you talk more about AMC? I'm like not super familiar with it.
sure. So it's the anti-malware scanning interface. Basically, like scripts traditionally, like PowerShell, it gives antivirus insight into what it looks like right before it executes. So even if you obfuscate it, basically the AV can look at it right before it gets to like an execution command, and it's easier to write signatures for. So basically a bunch of stuff that they didn't have insight into, like JScript, they have insight into now. And the same thing's happening with the new version of .NET.
Got it. So the technique of being like, oh, I'll just pass in this like .NET assembly thing or like whatever. Now like AMZ will have insight to that, and so the tricks that you might have employed with PowerShell that you were employing on the .NET side that were successful on .NET but not for PowerShell. Now you're going up against that same detection mechanism with AMZ being able to find it.
Speaking of,
yeah.
10 minutes, y'all. 10 minutes countdown to the end of the CTF with Selesian and Eclipse running for their lives, trying everything they can. The flag's author back there in the Brazilian channel already said that a few of the players have already passed by the flag, didn't saw it, and ignore it. So
did they go through all the files in the unknown directory yet?
I don't think so. I think
like that's got to be.
Oh, and the scoreboard is still down.
Yes, the scoreboard is down. So y'all, if you stay with us at the end here, we're gonna raid into the Brazilians channel and we're gonna interview the winner. Either be Big0us, who submitted the first flag first, or Selesian. If Selesian can get this last flag in the last minutes, that is not impossible. We've seen that happen more than once. We've seen players submitting the flags in the last 2 minutes or in the last 40 seconds of the championship.
Yeah.
So don't lose hope. Either Selesian or Eclipse may still get this second flag, and we're gonna find out who the winner is and interview the winner and have the walkthrough of all the flags with the CTF author right at the end. So do not leave us, stay with us, and at the end we're gonna raid the Brazilian channel. We're gonna have our end of the stream in both languages, both in Portuguese and both in English, so stay with us.
If we bounce down to Eclipse, I think I see why players are missing the flag. So Eclipse is looking through all these files, and some of them, either the names or the contents, they have these GUIDs, like globally unique identifiers, which are like these long character strings inside of curly braces. And that looks very much like the flag. And so when you've got like a screen full of junk with a bunch of curly braces and a bunch of them are GUIDs, I would easily be like, yep, just GUIDs, junk, and like scroll by it and totally miss the fact that there's a flag in there somewhere. So that's my suspicion of the players scrolling through and missing the flags.
Oh.
So let's see what we get here. And the beauty of like Tmux, for example, is that you can do search in a pane. So if if on the live you're hearing that the players scrolled back by the flag, like I would be doing like a search for like UHC and see like, is it in my output buffer somewhere that I just missed it? So yeah, let's see. I feel like it's got to be close. Somebody's gonna find it here. And LZ, I'm with you. I want to see what happens with that unknown archive and directory that was in the trash.
I know. I at least would have catted all the files quickly. If it was just that web directory, it wasn't that big a deal.
Yep. Yeah, and PowerShell's got grep, right? You can grep through all that stuff.
Find string. Yep.
Oh yeah, find stir. Yep. Ooh wee! Like I have a feeling that it's going to be like when we saw Wade get that flag in like the last 40 seconds. I feel like we're going to be like, well, like we're wrapping it up, and then it's going to be like, here it is. Like we're going to go back to the scoreboard, and or like last week, Nadi got that flag at the very end. We're going to go back and check the scoreboard at the very end, and there will be somebody with that's in first with an extra set of points. And I'm just checking the scoreboard real quick, and of course it's down.
It's down. It's probably going to be down still till the last minute. So we can only discover who the winner is now through the live stream.
LZ, going back to your comment about looking through the files that came out of that unknown archive, Blue Dragon Sec said the Docker file from the recovered. And I had that similar thought, is like you're in a Docker container. If you find a Docker file, that might be the Docker file that the container image is built from. And there could be valuable information in that. So I'm always like curious just about Docker files in general when I find them.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was just a, something to throw people off, put it in the trash, I'd at least go through each file.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could totally see something where there's like, in the Docker file, it's like copy and then like flag.txt into the container or something maybe. And it's just an old version of the Docker file. I feel like in UHC, they're pretty good about not trolling the players too hard. Yesterday in the Try Hack Me Hacker of the Hill, there was a directory indexing that was like /t and then /r. And I was like, I bet this is like, just a rabbit hole that goes down. And so fortunately, when I found it, I was like wget-r and just like pull the whole thing down and then do like find -type f and just like show me the files that are like actual files that are in this like directory structure. And so fortunately, it took me like 5 seconds, but some poor soul.
5 minutes.
Some poor soul on screen clicked through everything. And Nahamsec was like, oh, like laughing. I was like, oh, this poor person. Someone says the VM got shut down.
They were saying RDP got shut down.
Interesting. That's a bummer. I wonder. And it looks like Silesian dropped. It looks like a couple of the players dropped, actually. I forget who was in the third spot. But yeah, I see the curl isn't coming back now. I wonder. Marina, what's Caillou? Crashed?
Yeah, it's down. It fell.
The cloud broke?
Uh-oh.
Huh.
Bummer. All right, maybe we have an early ending. So the prime suspect is going to be whoever's at the top of the scoreboard with more than 150 points when it comes back online. There's going to be somebody that like got the flag, was not on screen, and then they just like took down the box. Which is against the rules, by the way. So there will be an investigation. Yeah, exactly. Jay Beers in the chat saying the winner shut down the CTF. Oh man. Well, these things happen. I've definitely seen infrastructure problems outside of CTFs when people are just using the system normally, and here you've got 10 hackers all in the environment. Interpol has been alerted. Thank you. That's a bummer.
Man, I really wanted to see how that played out in the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's gonna be suspicious if somebody has more than 150 points. I think Big0us was in room number 6. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I don't know who was in room number 3. And Silesian dropped from 7. Oh, what's this? Do you know Bingo? We're watching Big0us' screen right now.
Let's see.
All right, I think that's gonna be pretty much it. Yeah, the RDP shut down and the staff is already giving us the link to the other stream. So we're probably going to start the raid to the other channel to see how to solve this and to get to know whoever the winner was. It's probably Big0us because the machine shut down at the last second there and probably locked the players out. Eclipse and Elysian were going very fast for that second flag in the last minutes, but I don't believe they got it because of the machine shutting down. So yeah, we're gonna just stay here with us, and as I said, we're gonna raid the Brazilian channel. There we're gonna meet the winner, and we're gonna also have the walkthrough of all the challenges with the CTF author. So if you wanna get to know how to solve all of those challenges, even the ones that we have not seen on screen, because it was the root one. Stay with us, and we are already starting the raid, and we should be there pretty soon.
Yes.
All right.